Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And here we go.
Live from the Hollywood foothills of North
When
Carolina.
I say penis, you say Parker. Penis.
Parker.
Penis.
Parker.
All right.
Welcome to episode 67 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, live from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina. If you can't tell, we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming today, and a.k.a. Andrew Stokes has already revealed a major spoiler. Of course, the Confirmed Epic Podcast is the official podcast of the epicreview.com. That's thepicreview.com, as well as proudly presented by Geeks Worldwide, the GWW Radio Network. So, a.k.a. Andrew Stokes is here, also known as
Andrew Stokes.
And I have with me, he lives, Barbecue 17 lives, Jerry Reed. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be back.
I got to say, thanks to all of you buying shirts at tpublic/user/TheRealBradBell, we've upped our production quality. And we have our mixer and 3 mics, most professional setup we've ever had. So I'm excited about this epic day in the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina.
Do we submit our receipts for the mics to you, Brad?
No.
Is this tax? Is this a tax write-off?
We just paid for this. We also, we're going to write lunch off, too, and the movie. And
Yeah, I don't think the Epic Review Corporations, we made it far. Not quite that
we're
far.
Not there yet.
The IRS has bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, they do. I've had enough run-ins with the FBI in my day with the likes of y'all. We won't get into that. Believe it or not, that's a different story for a different day. Probably the Confirmed Crap Podcast like 25 years from now. If we're still doing this.
Episode 15.
YouTube. Go check out our YouTube channel. Search Confirmed Epic Podcast. See the confirmed comebacks and the rapid reflections. They're also on actionfigurebarbecue.com as well. Jerry has a Twitter. Where can they find you on Twitter now, Jerry? It's a big deal here.
I'm on Twitter.
What's your handle on there?
I don't know. What did I sign up as, Brad?
Barbecue 17 lives.
Barbecue 17 lives. I haven't been on there since I made it.
So go follow Jerry on Twitter. You can always follow Andrew Stokes at a.k.a. Andrew Stokes.
And from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
Joking. All right, now, the 80s icons of cinema showdown. It's not going to probably be
Today.
No, it's definitely not going to be today.
I don't have that much time.
I don't have that much of my soul left after Andrew crushed it in a previous podcast. So,
Which one was this?
that would be the future episode 68 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, in which we review Transformers the last night.
We've already recorded that.
Yeah, so that'll be
confusing when my checking out, I finished a series that I hadn't finished in the next episode.
That'll be dropping next week.
It's going to be a continuity error.
Yeah, I know.
For the 70s, though, it was confirmed that Darth Vader, no surprise there, was the icon of cinema for the 1970s.
How close was that final poll between him and
like
Jaws?
75-25.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't close at all. Even though Jaws ran away with that first bracket.
Yep. Buggy didn't stand a chance against Darth Vader.
So this is probably going to stretch past the summer. We're going to try to get the 80s one done, hopefully at the tail end of July. But, God, there's a lot of good movies coming out in July. You got Dunkirk. You got War for the Planet of the Apes.
I'm not familiar with any of these.
Valerian.
Valerian.
Yeah, y'all can go see that while I'm at the beach. Is that this week?
No.
Valerian? When is Valerian?
According to the trailer, July.
According to the trailer, May 13th.
What is the deal with that? It's the movie with Kevin Bacon. What's it called? The horror movie about the family?
I don't know.
But it said, the trailer was for May 13th, but I swear
they're getting that
when we were making a list last year, that trailer was on it. That trailer was on our list last year when we were looking at our hits of or our most anticipated films of 2016.
What movie was it?
Whatever this Kevin Bacon.
I think it's called A World Without Bacon.
I don't know. Whatever this Kevin Bacon horror movie is.
Footloose 2. Return to the dance floor.
But we saw the trailer for that in front of Spider-Man, and I thought that movie came out last summer. So I don't know.
So from an icon like Kevin Bacon, our 60s icon, of course, was James Bond, the only James Bond, right? Sean Connery Bond.
Debatably.
Andrew's a little bit salty over there.
So, yeah, just stay tuned to the Confirmed Epic podcast for the 80s Showdown. We are going to finish it. It will be done by the end of 2017.
Okay. I thought you were going to say summer. I'm like,
no way.
Hold on.
No. That we can promise you. I just want to start out with some tragic news here. Stan Lee's wife, 93 years old, Joan Lee, passed away yesterday. So may she rest in peace. And
they were married for 69 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Thoughts and prayers to the Lee family. Of course, Stan had another epic cameo in Spider-Man Homecoming, which we'll talk about in that review. But, guys, let's go ahead and get this show on the road with what we've been checking out.
Check checklist? Check. Double check checking of checklist? Check.
Jerry Reed, we're welcoming you back to the Confirmed Epic podcast after a couple episode absence. Let us know what you've been checking out this week.
Well, last night I finished the new season 11 of Mystery Science Theater 3000. So with its return to Netflix, and so I've now watched through all 14 of those episodes and really enjoyed it. And it ends on a cliffhanger, which sounds really funny if you're at all familiar with Mystery Science Theater 3000, but the show that's going on within the movies, that doesn't make any sense.
That surrounds the movie.
Yeah, the show that surrounds the
great.
movies has a bit of a cliffhanger going on, so I really enjoyed it. I'm glad Mystery Science Theater 3000 is back.
Doesn't Allie watch some of these with
Allie
you?
does watch. They're pretty family friendly, and so my daughter has watched a few of the episodes, and I mean, she loves the robots in these. And some of the movies, there's a mixture of movies. Some of them are the movies are definitely pretty kid friendly, and so there's a Bigfoot movie called Cry Wilderness that's on this season. That's one of her favorites and one of my favorites. But my favorite in this season is this movie is called Carnival Magic that they watch. And is this terrible late 70s, very early 80s film about a traveling carnival in the South that this magician named Markov and the tiger trainer.
Does it have any similarities to American Horror Story Freak Show?
There's a talking monkey in it.
All right.
So the tiger trainer and the magician.
That monkey's called Annie's boobs.
The magician does not like to wear shirts in this, but he is always
my favorite type of magician.
He's always running around, and like the beginning of the movie, you see him talking to. You don't know what he's talking to. It shows him from the waist up talking to somebody. Turns out the magician has a talking monkey, and the talking monkey ends up saving the carnival. Because he's a big draw for everybody.
I'm laughing because you said it shows him from the waist up. I hope it's not from the waist down.
Well, you don't know who he's talking to. The monkey's pretty short, and so anyways, people try to kidnap the monkey. The monkey steals a car at one point and goes on a gets involved.
The monkey steals a car
and gets involved in a high-speed police chase. Oh my God. And I mean, obviously, you're watching this, and
there's a reason these movies are on, Mr. Science.
Why am I not watching this?
And the jokes in this episode are incredible. It's a really good season. They have a new host. His name's Jonah Heston, but the actor's name is Jonah Ray. He's on the Nerdist podcast and does
Nobody listens to that.
Does a lot of other things as well. So I really enjoyed it, and there's been a few of these episodes that I've watched over and over, but I think the three strongest ones of this season was Carnival Magic, Cry Wilderness, and either Avalanche, which is a Mia Farrow, Rock Hudson disaster movie about an avalanche, or Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 1.
That sounds epic.
You need
I'm
to
watch some of these.
If you like bad movies, you have to watch
Transformers The Last Night.
Yeah, you love
right.
So you will be right up. Yeah, these movies will. These movies will probably be really good to you then. So, but
did you cry during it?
Not during this season.
Okay,
no.
But you have in the past. You're alluding to that
during Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever cried during Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay. All right. It's not for me then. I'm just kidding.
Brad likes tearjerkers.
He likes movies with heart and stakes.
And people using sticks.
Oh, I love that. What about you, Andrew Stokes? What have you been checking out?
Well, speaking of Annie's boobs, I finished Glow Season 1, starring Allison Brie, who plays Annie in Community, because Jerry looked very confused as to that reference.
No, I get the
Okay.
I
finished
also
it.
has a new desktop wallpaper.
So again, on next week's podcast, we'll talk about how I'm not quite finished with the season yet, but I did finish it since next week's podcast. And I've been watching Orange is the New Black, which I referenced as well. But I'm more into that. We recorded a podcast yesterday.
So you haven't had time to check much out in the past 24 hours, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you finished a TV series in the past 24 hours.
I had one episode left.
Oh, one episode left. Okay.
One episode left. I got into Orange is the New Black a little bit more. So
Man, you really
it's getting good.
You push yourself to the limits for this podcast to be able to consume that content within
in my
24
defense,
hours,
again, in my defense,
I'm not joking. I'm being serious.
Okay, when we recorded yesterday's podcast, I didn't have my TV set up yet in my new place.
No.
So since then, I've set up my TV and my Xbox One and stuff. So I have the Netflix going on the big screen now. So.
Andrew's new place is awesome because he lives right across the street from a go-kart track / golf course.
Yeah.
Putt golf
place.
too. Batting cages.
All right, that's
Ice cream.
Does it get any more epic than that?
No, I guess.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's not that many putt, go-kart, golf places in the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina.
I know, so if
they can narrow it down pretty quickly.
Yeah, they can find me pretty easily based on that description. Yeah. So, good job, Brad.
All right. So, enough about our personal residence.
At all.
If it makes you feel any better, I live on a street. It's named after a fish. That's the same name of a fish of a Florida professional team.
I'll do you one better. If you stalk me and find me, I'll give you Brad's address to the number.
No more T-shirts. We're not giving those out for a while. All right. So I've been checking something out that I reviewed for the site. 47 meters down.
That's all the time we have for checking out.
This is, I think,
the
best. And this isn't saying much, I guess. I think this is the best shark movie since Jaws.
What about The Shallows?
I love this way more than The Shallows. I enjoyed
looked
The
really
Shallows.
good.
What about Deep Blue Sea?
I love Deep Blue Sea.
What about
too,
Sharknado 1 through 4 or 5?
Yeah. Well, I'll dismiss that comment, Andrew Stokes.
What about Jaws 3?
The
Jaws 2?
Jawsening.
Jaws 2 is not terrible. It's not good. It's not as bad as Jaws 3 is, though.
What about Street Sharks the movie?
There was no such thing. I was about to say, how
I'm
did
just
I
making
miss
that
this
up.
in my life? If they ever do that, that'd be my second favorite shark movie.
It's Jawsome.
I wanted to see this movie. It was made my short list for our movies of the summer.
Yeah, it has Mandy Moore. Her and her sister go on a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
She's upset. She just went through a breakup. She's supposed to go with her long-term boyfriend, so ends up taking the sister instead because they broke up.
The singer Mandy Moore?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one from Walk to
She
Remember.
acts.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's an actress as
Didn't
well.
know that.
She does stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
You ever seen Hope Floats, Jerry?
Entourage.
No.
Oh, she was in Entourage.
She was.
Man, she played herself, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, played herself or Mandy Moore, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
Right,
Mandy Moore being Mandy Moore, like a lot of people
I think she may
did
play. Yeah.
on that show. So anyway, pretty simple premise here, but I think the motivation is dumb. She wants to prove to her ex that she's interesting and brave, so she goes down in a pretty much busted shark cage.
Doesn't sound well.
Who hasn't been there?
If you can forgive that part of the movie, you're in for a terrifying summer thrill ride. Let me tell you, guys.
The trailer really was a little terrifying. It's like it's like this claustrophobic type feeling to it. It got me a little nervous watching the trailer.
What's crazy about this movie is it came out on VOD, video on demand.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
When?
Well, here's what I like. Couple months ago.
So I can see it already at
You
home?
can't now. No, they pulled it. So many people were watching it.
Well, of
and it had
course.
such good word of mouth. They took it off of VOD.
If I had known that, I totally would have watched this already.
And they so this deserves a theatrical release. I'm like, this is
Interesting.
going to be bad.
That's pretty cool. You don't see that happen often.
No.
No, this is a rare occasion.
When
here.
was it out on VOD? Like February? Like that early? Or
I think earlier in the year. I don't know if it was February, March, somewhere in there. Maybe
okay. Because by the time we were making our summer list, I guess it was already off of VOD.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
not on VOD then. So, you know this movie's got to be at least have some quality to it. If they're gonna, it's better than a VOD movie at least if it's getting a theatrical release, which isn't saying much. Transformers: The Last Night was never a VOD release, right, Andrew Stokes?
Yeah, there's some good movies that get released to VOD nowadays.
So, yeah, like what was the
Maggie?
the VHS series?
Yeah.
Wasn't some of those VOD?
VHS, Tales of Halloween. I know we got
Maggie
that
was
right on.
VOD, right? Arnold
ABC's
Schwarzenegger.
of Death too.
Oh no,
Right, ABC's of Death.
it did get a video on demand release.
Was it ever in the theater?
Not. I don't think so.
Not like a wide
But
release.
you're talking about good movies. I that one was.
You didn't like the first ABC's of Death? I had so much fun.
It was fun watching
that.
it and reviewing it. It was twisted and
It was
bizarre.
sick.
And
The second one's worse.
I haven't seen the second one.
Did It Follows get a theatrical release?
Not that I remember.
Did it not?
I don't recall it getting one.
It was
but
at Sundance.
It seems
But
a
it was-
lot of the horror.
it was a
films-
low key kind of thing. Though.
A lot of horror films get video on demand
What
releases.
you call it did. It wasn't supposed to, but The Interview was
The Interview
technically
was, video on
released
demand.
on VOD first.
But 47 Meters Down,
Yeah.
it's one of those frustrating horror suspense movies in which it's not that every decision the character makes is dumb, it's just
Everything that can go wrong does go wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it just has you on the edge of your seat. And here's what I loved about this. It was directed by Johannes Roberts. And he has only done like small horror films leading up to this. This is his first, I think, theatrical release. It's all been direct to DVD and VOD. And once they're underwater in the shark cage, you never see the surface. So you know that their boat is right above, but they never go back up to it. Now, for reasons I won't get into, the boat just can't get right down there and get the cage back up. But you keep wanting them just to give you a break from the pace of this film and just get to the surface, or just not them get to the surface, but cut to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this whole extra plot element of, so I'm not a diver. I've never been deep sea diving. Have either one of y'all? Okay, I'll
No.
take your silence as you haven't.
I've
man.
been snorkeling.
Have y'all ever heard of this called the bends?
The bends. I've heard.
Yeah,
of
Yeah.
those.
So basically, you come up too fast, nitrogen bubbles get in your brain, you can die.
Yeah.
And so that is the dilemma they're in, because you think, oh, just swim to the top. They're both really good swimmers, but every time they do, they can't swim fast enough to avoid the shark. It would be a crapshoot anyway, but with the nitrogen plot in there. But guys, check it out when it comes out on Redbox, on Blu-ray, whatever. I want to buy it. You can't even pre-order this thing right now on Amazon, which is really weird.
Yeah, you can already pre-order The Last Night, but you can't pre-order this.
Well, I'm not even going to try that again. Abby's canceled that 3 or 4 times.
Did she go watch it?
No.
Nah.
She just knows how bad it is. Last night, guys. Last night. All right, so we're
I don't
sitting
get it.
there, and
Ugh.
Abby's got her computer, and she's like, I just want to see how dumb this shit is.
The trailer?
She starts
Or the movie?
watching the trailer,
Yeah.
and she's shaking her head. It's like,
Has she seen any of them?
yeah, it's the first one and the second one. I've made her experience Revenge of the Fallen in true IMAX.
And she still married you.
Yeah, she did. So, all right, I think that's going to wrap it up for this edition of what we've been checking out. Let's go ahead and get into the epic news items. Jerry Barbecue 17 Reed, this is a piece of epic news that's going to fascinate you, and I'm fascinated to get your opinion on it. You're one of the biggest fans of the Rocky franchise that I know. So this week it was teased that Dolph Lundgren, who just turned what age, Jerry?
No, Sylvester Stallone just turned like 71 the other day.
So that means Dolph Lundgren's 71 as well. I'm just going to assume they're the same age. When you said they had a birthday before we went on the air, I thought you were talking about Dolph Lundgren.
No. I think Dolph Lundgren's a little younger.
Okay.
I think he's a good bit younger than Sylvester Stallone.
Now, it's been a while since I watched Rocky 4.
Okay.
And he doesn't kill Ivan Drago, right? He just defeats him.
He just defeats him. He doesn't kill him.
This isn't Rambo. This is
An
Rocky.
alternate ending, he bludgeons him to death with like the
Yeah, that
Okay,
that
okay.
doesn't happen.
That
That doesn't happen.
That was your USA fever dream took over there.
yeah. Okay. So
Too many fireworks and hot dogs for Brad on the 4th of July.
I love Creed.
I just dreamt Rocky killed Ivan Drago.
It was a great passing of the torch film. Rocky Balboa was a good last hurrah film. Creed was a great passing of the torch film. And now it appears that in some form or fashion, Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren's, going to play a role in Creed 2, which comes out in 2018. Jerry, I know that you have it as a personal goal of yours to watch Creed. I'll loan you my Blu-ray copy. But as a huge fan of
Personal goal. Like,
That was your New Year's resolution.
my life coach and I talked about this,
his life coach, the real Brad Bell, loaned him the Blu-ray. So, Jerry, you're a big, in all seriousness, though, you're a big Dolph Lundgren fan, big Ivan Drago Rocky fan. So, what are your thoughts about how this character would return? Obviously, he's not getting in the ring, I wouldn't think.
I doubt he would be getting in the ring. I really have no idea. This first I've heard about it when you just mentioned it here a couple seconds ago.
But it is an interesting time considering where American and Russian relations are right now. I think it could ring
Maybe
with
this
an
film
audience.
could bring us together with the power of Dolph Lundgren, who's not really Russian, and Sylvester Stallone, who
You know what would be awesome?
is a director.
What is Andrew Stokes? I should remember this because I just watched House of Cards season 5. What is the freaking Russian Petrov, President Petrov, who's basically Vladimir Putin on House of Cards? I would like to see some type of universe crossover in which Dolph Lundgren is training President Petrov's son, or grandson, who could now take on Creed.
I was gonna say I'd like to see an Expendables crossover. The Expendables meets Rocky, like they're playing the same characters, the same actors in both movies.
And they get Rambo in there too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what if they brought like the Stalloneverse?
And they get the Terminator.
Do you remember the rumor for Rambo 5? He was going to be hunting Yetis in Antarctica.
Well, there was one too where Rocky 4 at one point. I mean, there was a joke made, but there was also a script at one point where Rocky was going to fight like an alien or something.
Yeah, I would pay money to see that.
Yeah.
I definitely would.
Yeah, well, they would charge you, so.
There's also the whole, originally the Rambo 4 rumor was he was going to be fighting a werewolf.
Instead, he just spent an hour on the turret.
It was
Which
great.
we talked about Rambo 4 in the next episode of the Confirmed Epic podcast.
Yeah.
Andrew Stokes.
Yeah.
You've seen Rocky 4.
It's the one with the robot and Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are your thoughts about this? I know you're not a big Rocky fan. I mean, is it too much rehashing Andrew Stokes, or would you rather see something more fresh, or are you cool with this?
I think it's very interesting.
Hashtag interesting. It really is.
Sure. Creed was done well, so I kind of trust them to. I mean,
it's Ryan Coogler, the guy that directed Fruitvale Station. So I think that we're all excited for this. Hopefully Jerry will watch Creed and we can go see Creed 2 together in the theater.
I plan to. I mean, I think it would be really interesting to bring some of those characters from the Rocky series, back if they're kind of sprinkled in and given the secondary character roles. I mean, if you're talking about as a universe, it makes sense that if Rocky is back kind of not in the spotlight necessarily, but if he's back in some way, that Ivan Drago would still be around, that he could be brought back into things as well. Again, as long as they're not going back and having Rocky and Ivan Drago fight again, or they're trying to have
in a retirement home.
But if
a tag team match.
If you have Ivan Drago as like a rival trainer or something, I mean, that makes perfect logical sense in that movie universe.
Both those guys are still in great shape too, Stallone and Lundgren.
Yeah. I kind of would like to see Creed take its own path forward.
You don't want to see it rehash everything from the original Rocky franchise?
I don't mind it, but I wouldn't mind Creed becoming its own thing and not being just Rocky 2, so to speak. You know what I mean? Not Rocky 2 as in the movie Rocky 2, but it's in a Rocky reboot, essentially, even though it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Rocky remake, I should say.
What's your favorite Rocky movie, Jerry? Not the best, your favorite.
My favorite is Rocky 3.
Really? Well, and that's your favorite too, right, Andrew?
My favorite's probably just the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
The first one is the best from a critical standpoint, but the fourth one's always been my favorite, just because the Hearts on Fire training montage. Gosh,
Training montages.
That's the best training montage in a movie. Is Rocky 4, I think. And it's got hearts literally in the lyrics of the song.
Rocky 3 has with Apollo Creed training Rocky.
Oh, that's so good too,
and
when they're running on the beach.
When they're on the beach in the ice cream colored shirts and like running into each other's arms. That's pretty cool.
They have those long tube socks on. God, that just gets me excited right there. I want to go watch
First
Rocky 3
appearance
again.
of Survivor in a Rocky movie. You have the Survivor music. Oh my gosh.
I haven't seen the newest Rocky though. The Rocky Balboa.
Oh,
You ever seen
really?
Rocky Balboa?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I'll loan it to you.
Okay.
Watch it after you watch Arrival.
Okay.
So, all right, let's arrive to our next epic news story, which is the Jumanji trailer.
Jumanji.
Were we supposed to watch that?
Yeah, we watched it today before Spider-Man: Homecoming.
You saw it in the
right.
theater.
That's right. Okay. I blacked out for a moment.
Now, Andrew Stokes, you're really excited about this, so I'll
think
go
it-
ahead and turn the floor over to you. What are your initial impressions on this new Jumanji?
I think it looks funny when the trailer starts. For those that haven't seen it, we start with these 4 kids. We don't start with The Rock and all them. We start with these 4 kids who are in detention or in trouble. So they're basically made to clean the basement out, and they find Jumanji the video game. Which at first I'm like, especially as a big board game fan, I'm like, we're turning Rocky into a video game. That's
Turning
kinda lame.
Rocky into a video game.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Jumanji.
I'd like to see that, too.
Turning
Rocky and Jumanji are now a shared universe.
Well, The Rock is in Jumanji. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't even thinking
Rock.
Rocky. That's funny. But they turning Jumanji into a video game kind of rolled my eyes. But then they get sucked into this video game, and all the people, like the hot girl becomes Jack Black, and the kind of wimpy kid turns into The Rock and stuff. And I thought it was pretty funny. And then everything from that point, I think it's just a funny situation. But then from that point on, everything's pretty funny.
Wrong.
Yeah, your opinion's wrong. You're just
I'm
it's
just
not Rob.
trolling.
It's not Robin Williams. So
That was
probably
my
wants
first
something
thought,
to do
and I
with
was
it.
like, okay, I don't give a shit about this. No, I mean, here's what I'll say about this. I do admire that they're going for something different.
Very
Because
much so.
Jumanji is one of those staples of 1990s cinema. It's one of the movies from as a child that when I see it, it takes me back there. I had the board game, which I cannot believe you, being a huge board game fan, missed this film. I figured if you would have had me guess, I'd have figured you own the board game and everything.
Well, I wasn't a big board game fan back then, but again, to me, it was always the book was the bigger thing. Like there was a movie, but the book was the thing.
I remember the book, and
Yeah.
then I remember the movie coming out.
Sure,
So,
I mean,
I read the book Chris Van Allsburg. I had read the book years before the movie ever came out as a kid.
Yeah, and I've only read the book. To me, it was like a big book thing.
So
and then
you've
they
not seen the original movie?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's good, but it's again.
I've heard good things about it.
The original movie, I mean, takes place in the past a lot, so there's very much like a nostalgic quality to it at times. And you have that the board game sucks the kids in. Well, I mean, a video game is kind of that modern equivalent. I mean, I know board games are another thing, but it's really cool to kind of change things a little bit and have it being that these kids get sucked into a video game.
Yeah.
And I like the cast. I like the cast of actors and actresses that they have for this movie.
Yeah.
I'm a big Karen Gillan fan. The Rock. I mean, The Rock's good in pretty much anything.
Except Baywatch.
Which I haven't
Was
seen.
he bad in that, Andrew?
Again, the movie itself was just disappointing. Nobody was necessarily bad. It's just the story and the writing was bad. But The Rock was fine in there.
Jack Black's always great. Who's the other guy that's in the
Kevin
movie?
Hart.
Kevin
Kevin
Hart.
Hart.
Great,
Kevin Hart's
too.
pretty funny. So I'm excited for it. I mean, I love the adventure.
Did you remember Jumanji as a comedy though? Because I didn't. It was more of a drama, action adventure film, right? I mean, it had comedic elements. Don't get me
had
wrong.
A lot of comedic elements, but again, I don't feel like they're trying to remake it. I feel like they're just
It's a reboot, not a remake.
Yeah, they're just doing something different with the property.
Yeah.
Now, I hate I'm going to say this, but I mean, Jerry.
Then
can
don't
back-
say it.
Jerry can back me up on this. The first Jumanji film has a lot of heart. I mean, it really does. Does it not?
It does. It has a lot of heart.
I just don't see that here at all.
Again, I feel that this is going in a really different direction, that they are trying for an action comedy so they're not even trying to make the same movie.
Which I do. I gotta say, I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. I'm glad they're going for something different, but I hope it does have at least some emotion to it.
Well, I don't remember the trailers for Jumanji ever advertising that it was this emotional movie, but it was, you're watching it.
It's been
and
so long since I've seen any of those trailers.
It did become very emotional. I mean, it was marketed as kind of a adventure, a family-friendly adventure movie.
This one looks like it's gonna be a little bit more Breakfast Club type dynamic
you know what?
going
When
on.
I first watched the trailer and saw the kids and the teacher talking to them about being all trapped together. I
Yeah.
really thought that this was like a Breakfast Club remake for about 20
That was
seconds
Power
until-
Rangers. That was a Breakfast
until
Club
they,
remake.
They jumped in and actually moved
Which is
their way
funny,
into
like
it.
Andrew brings up Power Rangers, and we just watched Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like some of these movies that we've been talking about lately, these big releases, Jumanji as well, it felt like a John Hughes coming-of-age story or a Rob Reiner type film. Those two guys did a lot of coming-of-age stories in the 1980s and 1990s. So I'm gonna probably go see it if it's something that Andrew wants to see. I mean, I'd be glad to review it on the podcast. I'm not completely being dismissive
This is the
of it.
first trailer, so my guess is we're gonna see quite a few more trailers for this. When is it
I
expected?
meant
to come-
November, I think.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to see any more trailers. This is Sony, right?
isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want to see any more
Isn't
trailers.
it crazy though that going into like the end of the year, we're looking forward to like the biggest releases?
Yeah, Star Wars,
Star
Blade
Wars,
Runner.
Justice League.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Justice
I don't know how
League,
many
Justice
people
League,
are,
Star Wars, Jumanji, Thor, Pitch Perfect 3 is going to be a bigger movie.
Yeah.
I feel like we're probably forgetting
Blade
some other
Runner
ones.
2049.
Yeah, Blade
There's
Runner.
some crazy big stuff coming out.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, the fall and winter. This is one of. I mean, there's been big movies right
Yeah.
before, like The Force Awakens or something, but I don't
It
remember
usually
this
feels
many.
like there's like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
the
this
Lord
is like
the
every
Lord of
month.
the Rings films, for the 3 years.
Avatar was a
Avatar
winner.
was a holiday, the Christmas release and stuff, but this is pretty crazy this year. I mean, it's going to be nonstop.
We're going to do a top 10 list for the fall winter.
We almost need
we
to.
should.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually want.
They're all going to be the same list, though.
Yeah, number one,
Just where
Star
stuff-
Wars: The Last
Yeah,
Jedi.
where everything else is on the list could be different.
We might as well not even put that on. Well, like this is the movie we're so we should title it movies we're most looking forward to aside from
Other
Last
than
Jedi.
Star Wars.
Other
Yeah.
than The Last Jedi.
Because that's obviously going to be number one on all of our
Justice League.
lists.
I don't know.
Okay, so enough about Jumanji. Check out my rapid reflection on that trailer on
If
YouTube.
you like watching crap,
I think it was a little too rapid, Brad.
All right.
too reactionary.
Let's talk about one of my favorite shows, True Detective. Now, the first season stands alone. Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey, the beginning of the McConaugheyance. We talked about on this podcast before. One of the best single seasons of television I've ever seen in my life.
More than The Flash season 1?
I love the Flash season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's better than the Flash season 1. I'll give you that. The second season, I watched it. Not bad.
So
Had
Vince Vaughn and
Rachel McAdams, Vince Vaughn.
Colin.
What was the guy's name who played Gambit in the Wolverine movie that sucked? He was in it.
Yeah, he's from Friday Night Lights. I forget his name.
Oh my god.
Taylor
No.
something?
Yeah, Taylor Kitsch.
Taylor
it
Kitsch.
is. So
Yeah.
that was the 3 leads, and it was good.
Yeah.
It was just coming off
You're
of
the
that
first person
season.
I've heard say anything good about the second season.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't love
didn't
it.
watch it, but
Vince Vaughn was really good.
I never
in
heard
it.
anything good about it.
Yeah, people really did not seem to like it.
Yeah, I mean, but you're going from, a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I mean, really, to that, which was just a good TV show. But the person that's rumored to be headlining this season is Marshala Ali, who is Remy Danton on House of Cards, who we talked about on this podcast for being the character in that Madden long shot feature on this year's Madden football game. So this seems like a really good fit to me. Of course, he just won a Best Acting Academy Award for Moonlight. Moonlight also won Best Picture, which I did not see Moonlight.
Yeah, I feel
yet.
like I just saw him in something else too.
Yeah, he pops up on a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
he is really coming into his own as an actor. I mean, the first time I ever saw the guy was House of Cards.
Yeah.
And it's like plays a cold lobbyist, somebody that you should not give two craps about.
Yeah.
But he made me care about that character in that moment.
What's wrong with Cole?
Cold. A
Cold.
cold character, not a cold character.
How they said a Cole lobbyist?
Cole
No,
lobbyist.
I'm like,
it
what's
wasn't a cold lobbyist, a cold lobbyist, okay? And
Frigid.
A lot of the
Yeah, I got
stuff
you now.
with he and Jackie Sharp.
Really
like,
supports that cold.
it made me empathetic with the character of Remy Danton, which you probably shouldn't be. But any of you guys excited for True Detective season 3?
I should probably watch the first 2 seasons
Yeah.
before.
Y'all haven't watched the first season?
I watched
Nah.
about half of the first season.
You
Yeah.
hadn't?
About half
It was
of the
good.
first season.
Oh my god!
I was enjoying. I don't even remember why I stopped though. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
'cause I remember you watching.
I was
it.
having to order them from the Netflix. To
Yeah,
actually get the
there was
discs in
some
the mail.
reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And then we canceled the discs.
yeah. There was some reason I
subscription
stopped
service.
watching it. Like it wasn't because I wasn't enjoying it. It was like something happened and I just couldn't finish it at the time.
It's not something I would want to watch over and over. I would gladly revisit it, but it is a heavy show.
Yeah.
So, let's get into some rapid fire news. Rapid fire, here we go, guys. So, speaking of HBO shows and release dates, it has been announced that Westworld will be coming to Blu-ray for the first time on November 7th. I think we mentioned this on a future podcast, Andrew Stokes.
Yeah, we'll mention this again next week.
I have not watched Westworld.
Nope, neither have I.
I've not either.
I feel bad I hadn't, because I could watch it on HBO on demand, but I just hadn't.
Yeah.
To humble brag.
Yeah. I got HBO on demand.
I have
guys,
HBO. Don't
and
even watch it.
I think I may just buy it on
Don't have a
4K
chance to.
just because I can, but it will be available on 4K Blu-ray in case anyone was interested. Also, we have some more 4K news. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 will be Disney's first 4K Blu-ray.
Volume 2.
That's pretty cool, I guess.
Volume 2. It also will be their last 4K Blu-ray after home media ceases to exist in favor of streaming. No, I'm excited for that. Disney getting into the game, that's a big deal. Only second to the porn industry for what they choose is their. That's true.
No,
There's yeah.
Sure, I
the
get
whole
you.
thing with the
Beta
Betamax
and VHS.
Yeah.
was that the porn industry
porn-
backed
They push technology.
VHS, and that was the difference maker in that battle, that media battle.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to hear, Jerry, what you think about this, because I think you were a bit surprised when I told you this. Top Gun 2 is confirmed for July 12th, 2019.
Oh my gosh!
Are you excited?
I've never seen Top Gun.
What?
I haven't watched it.
I've never seen it.
I understand, Andrew, but you're the Mr. 80s, like, quintessential action movies, man. How do you
Yeah.
not see Top Gun?
I'm just not that interested in it.
It's Tom Cruise.
I remember people.
Val Kilmer.
Okay, so it's been a movie that I've seen
Iceman.
people. Like, I've been at places where people were watching it. I haven't paid much attention to it. It didn't appeal to me that much.
He's not a bro. Jerry's not a bro.
It is kind of a bro
Sweet
movie.
setup, Iceman.
I do get it.
Sweet jet, bro.
I know more about Top Gun from Hot Shots. I used to watch Hot Shots all the time, and Hot Shots 2, so I know more about that. More about
That's the
Top Gun.
hockey movie, right?
No, Hot Shots is the Charlie Sheen parody of Top Gun.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What? There's like a hockey.
And then the second one is a Rambo parody.
It's not Mighty Ducks.
You're thinking of Shot Hot.
Slapshot.
Really?
You're thinking of Slapshot.
Yeah, because that has like Rob Lowe in it. Slapshot
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
Totally different movie. Totally different movie, Brad.
Still good. That's another bro movie because it's a sports movie.
different
Yeah.
genre. So.
But I'm surprised though because
I was more surprised. Like they're actually making a Top Gun 2. Like, what would be the?
Really? You're surprised by this?
Well,
yeah. How are you surprised by that though?
It just, I don't know. I guess I'm not. I shouldn't be.
You know,
Yeah.
Val Kilmer had like throat cancer, and they went in, they got it out. It was successful.
That's good.
He
Don't
started
spoil the
doing,
movie for me.
He started, and it's not in the movie. In real life, he started doing the con circuit again, like in the past 2 weeks. He is lost. Remember, he had gained a little bit of weight. He was in MacGruber.
Yeah.
He is a freaking stick now, but like a sickly stick.
He'll be more popular with fans.
It's just gonna be weird to. It's gonna be weird to see him because Tom Cruise looks the same.
Tom Cruise does not look much different.
And then Val Kilmer, I mean, he looks his age. He doesn't look bad. I mean, but it'll be weird to see those two on screen again. Top Gun is one of the rare movies. It was early in Tom Cruise's career. I mean, that was probably the movie that really just made him A-list of A-list. Where somebody tells Tom Cruise off. That doesn't happen in many movies, but there's like a Air Force Academy director who says, if you're looking for somebody to sit here and blow sunshine up your asshole, you came to the wrong place. And Tom Cruise just shakes his head, gets on a motorcycle, and drives off.
I think Russell Crowe told Tom Cruise off in The Mummy.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Back on that movie again.
God almighty. How do you see
Are we talking about Universal's cinematic, or was it Universal's Dark Universe cinematic universe?
You've seen The Mummy, but not Top Gun.
I've seen The Mummy, but not Top Gun.
It's your fault. I saw the Mummy. I wasn't going to see it.
I've
Or it was
watched
one of yours' fault. I don't know.
I own the director's cut of Legend. Does that count for anything?
No, I hadn't seen Legend.
Legend's incredible. Ridley Scott, Tom Cruise is in it, and what's her name from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Mia.
I don't know. I've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris's girlfriend.
Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember the actress.
She's in it as well.
Kunis.
It's really cool.
No. Have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yeah, that's what I've seen Ferris Bueller's
There
Day
were
Off.
some funny Ferris Bueller's Day Off references in Spider-Man.
Which we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to box office news. I love tracking, guys. Tracking shots, tracking money for the box office. It appears that Dunkirk, the Christopher Nolan soon-to-be masterpiece, is on track to make $40 million in its opening weekend. I know that's not huge, but they weren't expecting this to do, like, Batman numbers.
Sure.
It's a World War II drama, and it's still a more niche World War II drama. Dunkirk's not a battle that many people know a ton about.
Not Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like
not.
that.
It's
like
not
D-Day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that will give it a little bit freshness to a World War II film, like somebody only such as the legend of Christopher Nolan can provide. Planet of the Apes, the next one, War for the Planet of the Apes, is tracking at $65 million this opening weekend.
That's good.
That's really good for
That's
the
good.
third in the trilogy. And they say this is the best end to a trilogy, besides Lord of the Rings. That's what people have been saying from the movie blogs that I frequent, that being slashfilm.com.
Okay.
Are you guys excited for War for the Planet of the Apes?
I am.
Yes.
I think we all saw the second one together.
And the first one,
And
I think.
The first one I watched on
Blu-ray?
Blu-ray DVD. I watched it. Yeah, I think you lent it to me, Andrew.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll review that. We can go see it when I get back. Don't watch it without me, guys.
Brad, I just jumped out at me. It's a Mystery Science Theater reference.
Alright.
In the new season of Mystery Science Theater, there's a wonderful Christopher Nolan reference at one point. There's in one of the segments a character is getting married, and she is arguing with everybody about what she wants, and she's like, I want this and I want that, and I want a wedding photographer who shoots only on film, just like Christopher Nolan. And it's Felicia Day's character.
That's
and it was
awesome.
really funny. It made me think of you.
Oh,
I thought maybe this will get Brad to watch MST3K if I convince him there's Christopher Nolan references in here.
So there was a lot of rumors surrounding a Close Encounters of the Third Kind sequel. It was not a sequel. I thought that would be dumb, but it's going to be a re-release for the 40th anniversary, much like they did for Jaws. Mm-hmm. They're going to re-release it in the theater, then send out a remastered Blu-ray and a 4K release too, I believe. So I'm excited for that. Close Encounters has been, it was plagued. He didn't get to finish the film the way he wanted to, Spielberg, so he went back like 10 years later and added more scenes to it, and they re-released the movie in the theater. So this will be I think it's the director's cut that is, I mean, it makes sense. It's just the director's cut, but it's like with Blade Runner.
What people think of that version?
Huh?
What do people think of that version?
That's the definitive version. The director's cut.
So it's okay when Spielberg does it, but when Lucas does it,
yeah,
it's a travesty.
People are happy with some of the Lucas changes and not others. But it was also, think about how many years had passed.
Nah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah,
when-
exactly.
Some of the Lucas
it was
changes
10
are
years
crazy.
in between the Close Encounters, but I say that director's cut is his definitive vision, but it's like Blade Runner where there's a director's cut, the final cut, the theatrical cut, and I believe it's the final cut that's supposed to be the best of the three cuts.
Yeah.
So, anyway, big news, guys. Last rapid fire
Huge
tidbit here.
news.
Batman versus Elmer Fudd has been one of DC's biggest selling comic books of this past month. It's going to a second printing.
I saw an issue sitting at the Imperial Emporium yesterday.
You should have picked it up because it's worth $30 now. Could have shipped that thing out on eBay and bought a Confirmed Epic Podcast t-shirt, Jerry.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Batman versus Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
I
Who
literally
writes this book?
I don't know who writes it.
See,
I didn't read it.
I'm reading everything in Rebirth.
I don't think this is. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
I read most Batman things, but that one snuck up on me.
Are you gonna pick that one up?
Out of sheer curiosity, I think.
Yeah, I would read it out of curiosity.
Batman.
Yeah, me too. I hadn't heard about it until like a second ago when you mentioned it.
I
I'd
saw
never
it
heard
last
this before.
night, and I really just thought this was like one of those
We
variant
saw
covers.
last night as well. It was a great movie.
Brad can't get over Transformers last night.
Forgive me. All right, let's go ahead and get into our featured review, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universes and John Watts' Spider-Man Homecoming.
What's up, guys? So, to become an Avenger, are there like trials or an interview?
Do me a favor. Can't you just be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? Just stay close to the ground.
You're the Spider-Man from YouTube.
Can you summon an army of spiders? No, Ned, no.
Do you know him too?
I stole his shield.
Can I try the suit on? Badass.
The rich and the powerful, like Stark, they don't care about us.
The world's changing, boys.
Time we change too.
These weapons are crazy dangerous.
Listen, Peter, forget the flying monster guy. There are people who handle this sort of thing. What if somebody had died?
I was just trying to be like you.
I wanted you to be better. I'm gonna need the suit back.
But I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
I screwed up.
You need to stop carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders.
I want you to understand. I'll do anything to protect my family. I know you know what I'm talking about. So don't mess with me. Because I will kill you and everybody you love.
My friends are up there!
The guy is still out there. I just gotta do this on my own.
Just don't do anything stupid.
I got this.
All right?
Yeah.
Before we get this review going, let's get into some stats on the film.
Yeah, I want to look up real quick. I want to look up the Rotten Tomatoes score so I know how to review this film.
All right, it was
favorable.
released on July 7, 2017, which is the day we're recording.
What?
Yeah, we saw a movie, came back, podcasted. Been a while since we've done that. Directed by John Watts. The only film he had directed before this was a indie darling from Sundance called Cop Car. I think it had Kevin Bacon in it. It had a budget of $175 million. It's tracking to make $100 million in its opening.
That's a pretty good
weekend.
showing for Cop Car.
Domestically.
That's what I was gonna
Not for Cop Car.
So I was going to say, yeah, that's a lot of money.
Spider-Man
for a cop car.
Homecoming. And as Andrew Stokes alluded to, is sitting at 93% on RT.
Whoa.
Stars Tom Holland.
How many did you say?
93. I think it's 94 now.
94 now.
Yeah, 94% on RT, starring Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr., Michael Keaton, Donald Glover, and the lovely Marissa Tomei. All right, Andrew Stokes, you're the biggest Spider-Man fan that I know. And that's a compliment. that is a compliment, okay?
It's not a size judgment.
Hold your initial thoughts here.
Okay.
I don't think we really need to get into how we feel about this character. You absolutely love him.
Yep.
I love him. Jerry is not a big Spider-Man
Jerry hates
fan,
him.
which this has been established before on
Right.
this podcast.
I don't dislike
He hates him.
Spider-Man. He's just not in my top 50 superheroes.
50.
Okay.
He changed
Yeah.
to 50. It was 25 earlier today.
Okay, well-
now it's 50.
Yeah.
So we'll spare the audience that.
Been reading a lot more Doom Patrol lately, though.
Do you like Calendar Man more than Spider-Man?
That's
No.
not a hero, though.
No.
That's like-
Oh, my apologies. My apologies.
No, I do not.
okay. Andrew Stokes, what were your thoughts on the Garfield and Webb movies? Mark Webb, Andrew Garfield films.
So I guess I'm one of those weirdos who enjoyed the second one more than the first one.
I did too.
Yeah, because it was just,
Well, I thought the second one was better than the first one.
yeah, it was just kind of like I don't know. Electro was just kind of sillier, and there's something that kind of
Very Schumacher.
is more entertaining. The first one was kind of boring, and it was kind of a mess. Like they were clearly trying to set up this
The
universe.
second one, you could see the teeth marks on the scenery.
A lot of chewing. Yeah.
Chewing the set.
Yeah.
Going on.
So you enjoyed it too, Jerry, right? The second one. I mean, Now, I'm not saying you thought it was like a great film. But
Yeah, I'm guessing I probably gave it a good or an 8.5.
I think you gave it a good or something.
Yeah.
We both gave it a great.
It was decent.
Yeah.
I gotta watch this movie over again. I thought it was so good.
What about Civil War? Tom Holland makes his debut. We all love that movie. What do you think of his performance as Spider-Man? Brief as it is, but did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's one of the highlights. It kind of reminded me, because there's a lot of comparisons between these two movies, but Batman vs Superman, Wonder Woman, she's part of the highlight of that movie, and Spider-Man is kind of his little cameo is one of the highlights of Civil War.
Yeah. You agree with that, Jerry?
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's definitely in a movie that has. I mean, I think Civil War is one of my favorite of the Marvel films, and I think Spider-Man's appearance is up there with like Black Panther's appearance in that movie and the Ant-Man's appearance becoming Giant Man. I mean, it's one of the high points of that film.
Yeah, and
it was just really cool how they introduced Spider-Man in that movie. I mean, he didn't need a ton of setup because most people are familiar with Spider-Man. And I thought they did a really good job of, especially with the Avengers now being a bit of an older cast.
Yeah.
Of having...
Hard to say that, but
of
true.
Having Spider-Man being so young, I mean, you can really see the dichotomy between the way he sees things and the way the rest of the Marvel heroes see things.
Something that carries over to this film as well. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys.
Okay.
Andrew Stokes, being the residential #1 Spidey fan, what were your initial impressions on this film?
I mean, it starts off very good. I mean, it starts off with kind of a recap of his appearance in Civil War, and it's really well. I guess before that, it starts off with a little bit of a touch on our villain of the movie, but then it gets into Peter Parker, and it kind of shows he's a kid, and he's a big Avengers fanboy, and he's super happy to have had the opportunity to work with them. I feel like he's been being taken seriously, I guess, as a superhero, because up to this point he's been wearing his little, I guess, homemade costume and doing kind of low-key fighting. Like, we don't really see it, but
which is my favorite costume, by the way. That homemade costume, I really enjoyed that. And how that was used in this film, but we'll get into that. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I mean, this stuff is kind of implied that he's been doing kind of low-level crime fighting up to this point. So that's kind of where we start off with the movie, and it feels, he feels Spider-Man-ish, but it's like a little bit different than what we'd normally get from a Spider-Man movie, because every Spider-Man movie up to this point has been a self-contained Spider-Man. Even if they try to expand the universe, it's still a Spider-Man universe. And this one, it's like, not only is he in the Avengers world, the Avengers are established, they've gone on adventures, they've already added a new Avengers, you know what I mean?
Keaton's whole story revolves around the Battle of New York, at least the start to his journey to being Vulture.
Yeah, and Spider-Man is... he's just fanboy. You know what I mean? Like, he really wants to be a superhero, as opposed to most early Spider-Man stories where it's like a superhero is something he falls into, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to use his powers to do something cool, but not necessarily be a superhero.
And I think one of the things that you allude to brought me to an epiphany I had in the middle of this film. And it's that I'm going to have to accept this as the MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And not being maybe the Spider-Man that we are accustomed to. And what I mean by that is not that this isn't implied, but none of this with great power comes great responsibility. No spider sense. It's like the type of tropes and typical things we associate in the Spider-Man universe.
I think the great power with great responsibility...
It's implied.
In some ways, it's already happened, but in other ways, he's still learning that, and it is implied.
Yeah,
right.
I think his learning the balance between being responsible and being willing to risk yourself is kind of what's at the heart of the film here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's being mentored by Tony Stark, but he's also being given lots of leeway and sometimes not as much guidance as he maybe needs. And so he's really having to, and wants. And so he's really having to figure that out for himself. Like, what kind of, what responsibility looks like with the powers that he has.
Yeah, and all the problems I had as I was watching the movie were nitpick type of problems because they're things that I associate and love about Spider-Man that may have been absent, as I said earlier, like Spider Sense, like the Daily Bugle, like J. Jonah Jameson. It's not that I had to have every one of those things in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just none of them were in it.
Yeah.
And it did kind of, something just felt not off. Everything, they were hitting on all cylinders, but it just didn't feel Spider-Man-y to me. I guess I'm alone in that opinion.
No, I agree that it feels like a different Spider-Man. Like, it doesn't feel exactly like the Spider-Man you would kind of expect. But
the way I kind of take it is, for me, the Sam Raimi films, again, I'm
glad you brought that up too.
They precede most superhero movies that we talk about, other than the
X-Men,
the Batman, the first X-Men movie, and the the Superman movies. I mean, they really precede most of the movies that we're talking about these days. Those, I think, are truly the love letter to Spider-Man.
And I love those first two films.
They have all of the elements that you think of with those movies. That, the Daily Bugle, J. Jonah Jameson. I mean,
Spider Sense.
Mary Jane is classic, redhead. Gwen Stacy's in there. I know they do something
she's
different
a blonde.
with it, but she's a blonde. I mean, people look like what you think of as kind of that Silver Age
Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn,
version
same thing
of Spider-Man for the most part. Those classic elements. I think is it the Mark Webb films?
Yeah.
Is it Webb? Yeah. I think the Webb films are then kind of that we're trying to do something dark and angsty that kind of, I mean, for me, sort of robs the joy out of that property. I'm not sure Spider-Man needed to be taken in that direction.
Yeah.
I think this movie goes back to the feeling, to me, a lot of the Sam Raimi films, that it is back to being very joyous, very, very fun, very lighthearted a lot of the time. But when you say a lot of those elements are missing, the way I'm kind of viewing this is, I think Disney and Marvel are doing something that they're looking at Spider-Man longer term. So they're looking at a youthful Spider-Man where these things don't pop up.
Yeah, I didn't want them to throw everything in this movie, but something like Spider Sense, that's almost as quintessential to the character as, like, say, Batman, the Batman utility belt. Batman has a utility belt in every incarnation pretty much of Batman, right? And I know sometimes it's used more than others, but still.
There was a part where Ned, Peter Parker's friend, and the man at the man on the phone, what do you call himself? The man at the desk, the man at the computer?
Man in the chair?
Man in the chair. He wants to be the kind of the oracle to,
the Felicity Smoke, if you will.
For Spider-Man. But anyways,
Overwatch.
There's a scene, and Andrew and I were trying to I think we were trying to nail it down in the movie, but there's a scene where he asks Peter something about, like, how do you do that? And he's like, I don't know, it just kind of comes to me. Or, again, it was very subtle.
That's vague.
Well, it's vague, but I thought they were sort of alluding to Spider Sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. Again, not having Spider Sense in the movie, I did think about it.
That makes no sense, guys. None.
I did wonder about it, but it does... it does allow for some natural progression for a future film to sort of have him dealing with...
What was his powers going to start evolving or something?
He starts laying eggs.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. He doesn't really lay eggs, but somebody asked him.
But in the future film,
he could. But they could sort of have him develop these a little over time as an element of character growth.
Andrew, what did you think about the use of the tech in this movie? So I will give them credit here. They didn't overuse Tony Stark. I thought he was used well, just the right amount of time. He's in the film at the beginning, the middle, and end, but in very subtle ways, except for that one ferry scene, which we'll get into later. But he has basically, and his friend unlocks it, Ned, the man in the chair, unlocks it. He has the most high-tech Spider-Man suit I've seen, except the one he has in the comics now. Because right now he's all fancy. He's Parker Industries. He basically is Tony Stark in the comics now. Mm-hmm. But that's an adult Spider-Man who finally, after years of struggle and being kind of the world crapping on, has arrived, right?
Yeah.
Now, was the tech too much for you as a classic Spider-Man fan?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
That suit bailed him out every time he got in trouble until the end, which I don't want to spoil.
Yeah. Bailed him out. I mean, he used it a lot, sure. Bailed him out.
He has a drone.
Yeah, he has a lot of tech.
Feel very Spider-Man.
Again, I feel like I kind of feel like this is kind of like a modern Spider-Man, and like this is kind of the Spider-Man. And I've only seen like one episode, but of like the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, it kind of feels more along those lines because he's in that show. Yeah, it's a similar kind of thing where he's under the Avengers lead, sort of. Him and some other teen superheroes.
How long do you think he's been Spider-Man?
In this?
Yeah.
A year, maybe.
A year?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no, that I recall, did they even mention Uncle Ben's name at any point?
No.
I didn't think
He hasn't
so.
been mentioned. Was he mentioned in Civil
Definitely
War?
not, no. I don't think so.
I don't remember it.
It's like...
Which is fine.
Uncle
But
Ben, though, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. He alludes to Aunt May's been through a lot recently, so I assume that all happened. But I think it's everybody knows Spider-Man's story.
I mean, I think it's going back to that.
Uncle Ben's Mickey Rourke.
People have talked about how sick and tired they were of things that were rehashed every time that you had every Spider-Man movie was sort of this origin story.
Yeah.
And so it felt like there was very intentionally a clean break away from anything approaching an origin story.
But they could at least mention Uncle Ben. They don't have to go into the whole... I get the reason. I completely understand
I mean, it never felt to me like they were, jumping through hoops to not mention Uncle Ben.
Can you imagine a Batman movie?
Yes.
Where they don't mention his parents ever.
Yes.
Dying.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that happening.
I know they don't much in Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, but they do a lot in Batman Begins.
The Batfleck movie, I could totally see them not mentioning it in that movie.
The Batfleck movie has it. Oh, yeah.
But that's been established in BVS that this happened. They didn't dwell on it. It was the opening scene.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been... they had to address...
But they kind of did. She's been through a lot. We all know what that means.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody knows.
Okay, what if you're a kid and this is your first experience with Spider-Man? We don't know what that means.
Well, if you're a kid today's age, you can go home and Google it.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary to the movie, though. It wasn't necessary to the movie.
No, but it's necessary to the core of the character. And for a lot of people, MCU trumps everything now, right? I mean, people are going to go see an MCU movie before they watch a Spider-Man cartoon, before they read a Spider-Man comic. We can probably agree on that, right?
I'm not sure that's necessarily true.
Dude, are you kidding?
No.
Do you you don't think people watch a movie before they read a comic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying like if they're going to watch this movie, it leads them into stuff.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah,
No. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
This isn't going to lead them into a comic. But that's kind of my point is... If this is, let's say you're a 5-year-old kid watching this.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a really good movie. I don't want people to think I didn't enjoy this movie. You're thrilled by this movie. You enjoy this movie. And what's not to think that this is your definitive version of Spider-Man, and that's great. But it's missing one of those core character elements and motivations. Great power comes with great power comes great responsibility. The death of Uncle Ben. I don't need it shoved in my face. Jerry made an excellent point.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore it forever.
See, I was wondering when the movie started again, where it's Peter filming these scenes. I was thinking as soon as it's like starting and it's like, oh, he's filming stuff. I thought we were gonna see Uncle Ben there for a moment.
Yeah.
Like he was gonna have like a quick thing with like him and Uncle Ben. It's like, oh no, this is just recapping Civil War. I mean, I'd like for them to maybe mention him more so in maybe a later film.
Yeah.
Maybe in the sequel.
That's fine. As long as they do it. Like, I'm cool with them not doing it here. But if it's just okay, so here's what I've read. So Sony and Marvel have this joint partnership, right?
Yeah.
But Disney basically has control in their deal of 6 Spider-Man appearances. So we had Civil War. We got the 2 Infinity movies, right?
Yep.
We got this one, and then 2 more Homecoming movies. The next one comes out, or Spider-Man trilogy, I guess.
Yep.
The next one comes out in 2019, July 2019.
Which starts Phase 4, supposedly.
Yeah, so this is a start of a new trilogy of Spider-Man movies. So I'm just saying sometime by the end of this trilogy, it's one thing if you don't have Gwen Stacy. I guess I kind of understand that as much as I love Gwen. Plus, she has just done really well in the Webb movies. If you hate those movies, and we don't love them, but we say that Emma Stone was a very good Gwen Stacy, and that was one element of those movies that was really well done. It's just that, I don't know, just give me somewhere great power. With great power comes great responsibility.
It's such a good line.
I know.
So I definitely feel like I want it mentioned at some point.
We've talked about other things, though, where Marvel Cinematic Universe has really gone out of the way to not use kind of common character lines.
Sometimes, but
Avengers Assemble. But that's still, though.
Didn't they use that line in Ultron or something? They made a reference to Avengers Assemble.
They alluded to it.
They said we should assemble everybody.
But and I know I kind of get made fun of because I was kind of upset they didn't say it, but I got over it because they did do it. Like one of the most famous shots in all the MCU is them assembling.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like they don't have to say with great power comes great responsibility, but at least give me the origin of that. I know it was implied here, Jerry.
Yeah.
It was implied.
I feel like it was the theme of the movie, and they're trying to do something different. I mean, they're really
it's
trying
a different take on that line. Because when this movie opens, he's already decided. Because the basics of the line is basically, Peter Parker, you have powers. This is something other people don't have. So because of this, you have to help the people. And in this movie, he's already kind of accepted that. He's already being a superhero and helping people, even if it's on a small street level.
Yeah.
And so he's learning another kind of meaning of responsibility is being responsible with these powers and being responsible with himself as well. Like he's kind of losing himself in this Spider-Man persona. He's like, I am Spider-Man. And Tony Stark, it's kind of like you remember your Peter Parker first.
Yeah, the suit doesn't make the man. The man makes the suit, pretty much.
That's a really good line. That's good, Brad. You come up with that just now?
That's from Iron Man 3, I believe. It's one of my, and I hate to retroactively go back and worship the Raimi films because 3, God knows, was a mess. But one of my favorite, maybe not in the moment when I was watching those first 2 Spider-Man movies, but looking back, one of my favorite moments in all of the first 2 films is when Peter has that dream in Spider-Man 2 where he's in the car with Uncle Ben. And Uncle Ben's dead, of course, but he's having this dream of him talking about with great power comes great responsibility. And like Jerry said, those movies were great for giving you those classic Spider-Man elements. So I think we have the power and responsibility to move on from that line. So we will. Do you guys want to say anything else before we get to spoilers?
Well, I want to talk about just real quick before we won't get into spoilers about it, but I want to mention on Vulture because it's kind of like from the very the movie opens with the Vulture before he's Vulture, and from that moment, as they're kind of like have this scene going on, I'm like, okay, I think Marvel's about to give us, because we've had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is one of their better movie villains, and I felt like I think we're on track to have another villain who we understand what his motivations are, and there's actually there's some depth to him, and without getting spoilers, but I feel like we did get this with Vulture. We got a character who we understood and maybe even sided with him a little bit.
He's
like
my favorite MCU villain besides Baron Zemo.
Wow, okay.
Probably.
Okay.
Which I know that's controversial with Zemo and whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
Michael Keaton is just an intense actor.
Yeah.
And he brought that to this role.
There was a very intense scene. We'll wait till spoilers,
Yeah.
but there's a very intense scene in this movie.
This so
Want to
makes
get nuts?
That's what I said during the opening scene. I leaned over and said, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." This so makes me wish that Tim Burton would come back and direct.
Because Keaton's in great shape.
He is, and he would direct a Dark Knight Returns with Keaton.
Like finish that trilogy. That would finish that story.
Yeah, I think that would be incredible at this point.
Yeah, it would. And that's the thing is, we all can say, we're not going to rate the movie now. That'd be after spoilers. But I think we can all say we enjoyed this film, right?
Yeah. And remember, Sam Raimi wanted to do Vulture. I know Vulture was one of the villains.
Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, was really the villain he wanted to go with. And so
he wanted to play him, right?
No.
John Malkovich.
Really?
He was up for playing Vulture.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into a lot more Spider-Man Homecoming discussion here. Let's go ahead and roll the reel forward to spoilers. So spoilers for Spider-Man Homecoming starting now. let's just continue rolling with this Vulture conversation.
Okay.
I'd heard this on Slash Film Daily. They had somebody on there who had seen the film. It wasn't one of the Slash Film guys. It was a guy from Nerdist or Thrillist, one of those. I can't remember. And
Jonah.
It was Jonah.
He said he was really surprised. I can't remember the gentleman's name, of how much of a message on Trump America, or a political commentary on Trump America, that we see from the get-go in Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm like, what? That catches me off guard. But the opening scene, we start out with, like Jerry says, a very intense Michael Keaton, and he is going to do the work, his crew is, to get rid of the stuff with the Chitauri battle from the first Avengers. A lot of the debris and fallout.
You see one of the crashed ships just sitting
exactly
there in an abandoned building.
So the film starts 8 years before present day, and I love this because you have the white collar people come in, the government essentially come in, and who's teaming up with Tony Stark, right? Damage control.
Yeah, and so Michael Keaton's character makes the reference, or one of his helpers makes the reference, that the people who made the mess are now being paid to clean up the mess.
Yeah, and it's kind of this whole thing of the Vulture being the forgotten man. Say what you want to about Donald Trump, but that is a political thing in this country, political aspect, if you will, and something that resonated with a lot of people enough to get Donald Trump elected, in which there's this forgotten man, the forgotten woman, these blue-collar workers, the coal workers, the steel workers, construction workers or whatnot, as the liberal Ivy Leagues and, education people and all that have prospered and done well. It's like they've kind of been left behind. And this movie does a good job of subtly playing. It's not like overtly in your face, but it's there if you want to read into it. And to me, that added a lot of depth to the Vulture that we hadn't seen in many MCU villains.
I agree that it's reflective of the times, but I mean, that is kind of a general commentary too about, places where people are they're just told your jobs are gone.
Yeah.
And when Vulture is, Toombs?
Adrian Toombs.
Adrian Toombs, yeah, Michael Keaton's character is talking with, this government group that just comes in and says, all right, you're all let go. And he's like, we've bought trucks for this job. We have families, we have homes, this is our work. And they're just like, well, too bad. You shouldn't have overextended yourself.
What an opening hook. Really, it's not an action set piece, which this movie has a ton of great ones that we're going to talk about. That was probably one of the highlights of this film, was the action. Did you enjoy that, how they framed the Vulture character, Andrew?
Well, you may not know this because I've never mentioned it to anyone ever in my entire life. I'm a huge Vulture fan. All right.
Really?
And one thing, no, I'm just kidding.
I like Vulture. I'm not a huge Vulture fan.
No. I hate the changes they made to his character in this movie. It's not the real Vulture. No, but
hashtag not my Vulture.
I didn't. It's definitely, like you said, it's definitely not heavy-handed. If there's any Trump ideology influence into the script, it's not heavy-handed. It is kind of, it's
makes you empathetic.
But, right. It's a common kind of blue collar type storyline of, like, the big guys of the government coming in and taking things over. So I don't want anybody to think who hasn't seen the film that it's like this heavy-handed current event beating you over the head. It's very subtle, and like you said, it's only if you want to kind of read into that you can. But like I said earlier, this scene kind of sets up the fact that we're going to get a better developed villain than we normally do from a Marvel movie.
Which is, you got the best rogues gallery besides Batman.
Yeah,
Spider-Man does have the best. Flash is up there too, but
Spider-Man's definitely probably second.
And the Vulture being a villain that we have not seen before.
On the big screen,
on the big screen. Yeah, he was alluded to in that post-credit scene of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That's
but
right,
still, to Michael Keaton, when they told me he was playing the Vulture, I was immediately just stoked about it.
Birdman himself?
Birdman, Batman, the Vulture.
It lived up to the hype.
He likes guys with wings.
Now, Andrew Stokes.
That's me.
Let's get into these set pieces here.
All right.
What was your favorite set piece? We're going to talk about all of them, but of the film. If it's the finale, hold that thought.
Come back to me. I'm not sure what my favorite one is. I enjoyed all of them.
All right, what did you have a favorite one, Jerry?
I did. I really liked the Spider-Man rescuing his classmates at the Washington Monument.
God, that was good.
It was a really good set piece. And I mean, there wasn't a whole lot going on. And that's one of the things I think about all of the set pieces in this movie is they were not overly busy. Yeah. They focused on Spider-Man, and if there was a villain or somebody else there, they focused on that person. But you very clearly knew what was going on. It was very easy to tell, where characters were and locations and things.
Jerry, now this is a complaint you've had about Spider-Man in the past is a lot of his action set pieces that he's involved in, too much CG, that he looks cartoonish.
Yeah.
Was this one a little better in that regard?
I honestly didn't. It never jumped into my mind that this wasn't really Tom Holland in a suit.
That's good then.
It was good. I really enjoyed it. And I thought one of the brilliance of the set piece where, Spider-Man is part of or Peter Parker is part of the National Academic Decathlon, and they're in Washington, but there's a plot point with one of the Chitauri emeralds that's actually a bomb. Yeah. And Spider-Man's friend is carrying it with him. But when he is in an elevator going up to the top of the Washington Monument, the X-ray detector sets off the Chitauri device so that it unleashes like a wave as they're going up in the elevator, and thus the elevator in the Washington Monument becomes unstable and starts to fall. So you have Spider-Man a race for time to rescue his friends.
Good scene.
Really, the only antagonist is that Capitol Police and other groups are showing up, telling Spider-Man to come down. They don't know they don't really know who he is. Yeah. And Spider-Man is trying to break into the small windows at the top. And so it's this race for time. But you also realize there's not much else around. So Spider-Man's not going to be able to do a lot of web swinging. He's climbing, but he is scared of heights. Something kind of funny. I mean, again, he hasn't been going through skyscrapers yet. He's really been staying in his own burrow, which is not that high. Yeah. And so it's this great moment of, it is an action set piece, but it's really about character development.
It's an intimate action set piece.
And Spider-Man's drive and him trying to rescue his friends, and the tension that's going on with his friends in the elevator trying to get off as well.
I think that may have been my favorite action set piece. There's one that pissed me off, okay? That's the Staten Island ferry.
The Staten Island ferry pissed you off.
Okay.
Pray tell, Brad, why?
Well, when I saw this scene in the trailer, they didn't spoil it.
Oh, because we saw the whole scene in the trailer.
You didn't see the whole scene
I know, but we saw most of it.
You saw a lot of shots of Spider-Man holding the two parts.
I think we saw the whole scene in the trailer.
Have you seen the orange that somebody there's a picture of an orange that someone's cut in half, and like they've broken the orange in half, and the what do you call the connective tissue in the orange looks like it's shaped like Spider-Man holding the webs together. It's just
That's cool.
One of those random things that you can find.
But
what part of this scene is not in the trailer?
I don't know. I only watched the first trailer. Was it in the first trailer? Like I literally, Evan and I, when we went and saw Alien Covenant, I put or maybe it was Guardians 2. I closed my eyes and put my hands over my ears so I couldn't see.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure there's a trailer that even shows Iron Man showing up.
Okay,
yeah, there is.
This is what pisses me off about this scene.
All right.
So, to me, this could have been the equivalent of the train scene from Spider-Man 2, which is probably my all-time favorite movie scene. And he's saving the day. He's figured it out. Yeah. There's a battle with the Vulture and his thugs that ensues. That Spider-Man screws some stuff up, which Spider-Man tends to do as a character. But he figures out a way in the end how to save the day. Yeah. And he's holding that ship together. Yeah. And it begins to give. And to me, the film gave a little bit here. No. Because Iron Man comes in and saves the day. Now, it leads to a good character moment between Tony and Peter.
Yeah.
But I didn't like this.
I did like it. Okay. I have a problem with this scene too, but it's a nitpick problem. But like this specifically, I did like because it basically he did everything he could, kind of thing. And at the end, it's like, oh, he's still gonna fail. and Iron Man has to come in and save him, and it is kind of this kind of tipping point between them, and even within Peter Parker himself, it's like, he's kind of in over his head in some ways. You know what I mean? He's kind of relying.
That's a good way to look at it. I understand that.
In some ways, he's relying on some of this technology too much. And in some of it, he's cocky. He's not. Again, it goes back to the responsibility thing. Mm-hmm. He thinks he's an Avenger, and he's not. He's a kid.
And this sets up the third act. I thought the third act of this movie was the best.
Yeah.
And sometimes in Marvel films, especially the solo films, that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
So, I didn't. What was your nitpick on this scene?
Just at the very end, Iron Man saves the day. He flies off. These other ships are coming in, and I'm like, how does he get off this ship? Like, how does Spider-Man get off the ferry? Like, is he catch a ride? Like,
Iron Man doesn't take him.
No, Iron Man leaves him. So it's like, did he just change back really quickly and leave as Peter Parker?
I have a nitpick like that too. So
yeah.
In the finale, toward the end of the film, at the homecoming dance,
yeah.
He's going after Vulture, right? He's got a tracker on Vulture, I believe, and we can talk about
the car.
On the car, okay.
He left his phone in there, yeah.
It leads to this funny bit in which he steals Flash Thompson's Audi, which was clever.
Yeah.
But why isn't he web slinging? Why is he having to ride in this Audi? Because isn't it always implied in most Spider-Man stories that, and I think it may have been one of the Raimi films where Tobey Maguire says it's the fastest way to travel or something like that, web sling, which I get that's not in this film universe, but it seems, I know an Audi is a badass car and it's fast as hell, but why is he riding in an Audi?
I think like you said, well, one, I mean, his webbing's limited.
Yeah.
And like you said, they played up, and there's like one scene where he has to run through a park because there's something to swing on. I'm not sure. Sure, I'm not sure. And then I'm not sure it would have been quicker to web sling because of
he's going through the city in this car, right?
Sometimes he is. Sometimes he's going through a neighborhood and stuff.
Yeah, he was going through different places, so maybe he knew because it was that warehouse was out of ways.
Yeah.
Then he just realized there was going to be a place.
Yeah, well, he doesn't know where this guy's going because he's still driving, I think, when he steals a car. So he knows he's going to have to chase this guy down. He knows where he's going. They went to Maryland at one point. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nitpick thing.
Yeah. How is it, one of the things I was thinking about, and maybe it's just a suit. I wasn't 100% sure, but his phone's in the Vulture's car, but he's talking to his buddy. Is he just talking via the suit, I guess?
I'm assuming he was talking Bluetooth on the Audi. Did the Audi have some kind of built-in phone?
I don't know. That was just one of the things I wasn't 100% sure, but it wasn't like a huge thing.
I assumed he had like either a headset or something.
I thought maybe it had something to do with the suit. Like the suit had its own
This is
call-in
such a great
thing.
film, I think, that these are the little things that keep it from being like a perfect film, which it could have been.
It could be simple explanations. It was just something I noted. Like, how did he get off the ferry? He could have changed and blended in very quickly. You know what I mean? Who knows? He straps it. Or maybe he did. I don't remember.
One of the strengths of this movie is that I felt like while there was lots of characters, every character felt pretty unique, like they added something to the movie.
What do you think of the whole high school gang with Flash and Liz and others?
Michelle.
I thought they were. I mean, again, they were really funny. The character who we don't get her name until the end of the movie, which is Michelle, but then she says, "Call me MJ."
My friends call me MJ.
That's Zendaya.
Yeah.
Zendaya, am I right? Is that the name?
She's from the Disney Channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, her character was really funny. Like her observations and stuff.
She was hilarious.
She's little deadpan comments
are
and stuff.
very funny. Ned, Peter Parker's friend, is hilarious.
I'll tell you this, as a high school teacher, that Michelle, MJ, she felt the most like a real student to me. Like, you don't get that deadpan, witty student too much. You may get it once every other year or something, but I've had 2 or 3 of them. And those are the ones, you always remember that student. You may not like that student, but you always remember them and they're entertaining to you, at least in doses.
I really liked, though, Ned and Peter Parker's friendship.
Yeah.
And, Ned had some of the best parts when they're just sitting there in, like, Peter's room and Ned's just wearing the Spider-Man mask.
Yeah. Or he's wearing the hat.
Yeah.
He's wearing the hat to the party.
Yeah, that party scene was really good.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of really funny, Flash Thompson, some of the stuff when Spider-Man has to take his car and, he's like, You can't steal his car. This is my dad's car or something. And,
or when Spider-Man falls down the elevator shaft and he yells after him, "Do you know Peter Parker?"
He's kind of a bully, but
that's what I was going to say. They got a good dynamic because he's not a complete, like, I want to ruin your freaking life.
He reminds me of Ultimate Flash Thompson, where maybe kind of started out that way, but as you read the Ultimate Spider-Man comic, you come like, oh, these are real high school students, and some, there may be some weird bully dynamic, but they're all also they're students together.
Well, also, it seems like everybody at that school seemed to be very...
That was a gifted school.
Yeah, school for gifted students, so he was not like your stereotypical jock character. They kind of referenced that at one point, that the school is a school for gifted, or a magnet school, or whatever you might call it.
Ever since the MCU's kind of started, they've been taking some elements from like the Ultimate Universe and stuff, and this is the character of Ned and this gifted school are definitely elements from the Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man. He goes to a gifted school. He has a friend. I don't know what's his name, Genki, who's basically Ned and stuff.
Looks like it.
Yeah. He even has, when Genki finds out that Miles is Spider-Man, he's holding this big ball that he drops on the floor or something.
In like a dorm room.
And when Ned finds out that Peter, he's holding the Lego Death Star, and he just drops it in Peter's room.
Little Disney tie in there.
So,
that was hilarious.
What was really funny is in Peter's room, there's an AT-AT sitting on
which
the counter.
Which he referenced in Civil War.
Which he references in Civil War. Hey, in that old movie, The Empire Strikes Back.
With those tall walking
Marvin made him. So that was pretty cool. There was actually a lot of little Star Wars collectibles in Peter's room.
So talking about the humor of the movie, though, this movie was very humorous. But I feel like Spider-Man himself maybe wasn't as humorous. Like, he didn't necessarily have some of these quips that Andrew Garfield's did in Amazing Spider-Man.
What's crazy is, in a way, it reminded me of, remember, I think it was Amazing Spider-Man, the first one.
Yeah.
There's the tiny knife scene.
Yeah.
Which is such a great bit, but they revealed it in the trailer.
Yeah.
Here you have where he thwarts the Avengers wearing robbers. And he's really good with the humor in that scene.
Yeah.
But again, that was from the very first trailer.
Yeah.
And that may have been the best, like, quipping Spider-Man moment.
You're
and
not
they
the
gave
real
it away.
Avengers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I want to see more, because to me, I mean, it's Spider-Man's humor is typically a defense mechanism. Yeah. He makes all these humorous jokes because he's in these situations, and it's just kind of how he's processing and stuff like that.
Let me ask you this, Andrew, and Jerry as well. So we've said in the past that Tobey Maguire, we thought, at least for early Peter Parker before he came into his own, was a really good Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Garfield was not the best Peter Parker, but in the suit, he captured that quip and wit.
He's a good Spider-Man.
And Tom Holland, I thought he captured that kind of in Civil War, maybe, better than brief as it may, that scene.
Yeah.
Better than he did here. So, I mean, is this the most balanced Spider-Man we've had, you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure he does either one better than Andrew or Tobey Maguire. But I think overall, he's a better overall Spider-Man. He's kind of like the in-between, the Napoleon.
When Tom is Peter, I don't forget that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And when Tom is Spider-Man, I don't forget that's Peter Parker in there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, which I don't think you're supposed to forget is Peter Parker in there, right? So
exactly.
Unlike Batman, where, Batman, Bruce Wayne's his disguise.
Yeah.
He is Batman. Peter Parker, I mean, he's Peter Parker.
Yeah, he's always
Spider-Man's
been both.
Something he does because he has the responsibility
to
do it. You get some villains that show up in cameos, so you get two Shockers.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Pretty much.
What a twist.
Not really that shocking. No, I'm kidding. That was bad. Now...
We'll just edit
that
out.
One was bad. That one was bad.
I'm not going to edit it out. So, they were throwaway characters, though.
Yeah, and Shocker, again, in the Ultimate Universe, Shocker is a very throwaway character.
He's big in the animated series in the 90s, but that's the only time Shocker's a big character, I think. Scorpion, it seems like Matt Gargan, they're setting him up.
Yeah.
But Scorpion, again, you're talking about, this reminds me of Ultimate Scorpion in the Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of this kind of gangster guy who plays Matt Gargan in that version of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. Now, in the regular one, it's more traditional Scorpion. Because Scorpion is usually kind of portrayed as a dimwit. I didn't get that with this guy. I got that he was, he's a badass, and I wouldn't want to mess with him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see Scorpion as the main bad guy, but I do want to see him in a Spider-Man film because, again, that's one of the big characters from that Rogues Gallery that we haven't got yet. How do you think they pulled off the balance between a high school drama, never got CW, right? Never got that bad, and a superhero movie?
I thought really well. I thought the balance was very good between the two, and as we were moving into that final act, and we're past the spoiler section, we're moving into the final act, and Peter Parker is getting ready to go to the homecoming dance with Liz.
Liz, yeah.
As soon as I'm thinking, okay, how are we going to get from the homecoming dance back to the main story?
Yeah.
And I said it to Andrew as soon
right as that door was getting ready to open.
I'm curious because I know what you're about to say.
Yeah.
Did you think that he was going to be there kidnapping Liz because he found out, or you knew?
Nope.
Okay.
I started thinking, I'm like, he's talked about having a family. He's talked about having a home.
Yeah.
And I was
that's so generic. A lot of people have a family and a home.
I know, but
it was specific to his character. It's very important to his character.
For a villain to have that specific to their character, and as soon as Peter Parker's walking up to the door, I looked at Andrew. I said, "Vulture's going to be her dad."
That's surprising.
And
it got me.
The door opens. And Michael Keaton is standing there. The Vulture is the girl that Spider-Man has been crushing on and is going to the homecoming dance with.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, Vulture, is is the dad. And that led to some of the best scenes in the entire movie.
One of the best scenes, which is that where Michael Keaton, the Vulture, drives them to homecoming, and he's starting to piece together that Peter, because Liz is just, she's oblivious and she's just spouting off things.
Oh, Spider-Man saved us in
Washington. Spider-Man was here, Spider-Man was there, and you weren't there, Peter, but you were there, but you weren't there. And I've seen Keaton kind of piece it together, and then Peter, realizing the Vulture is piecing it together. It was such an intense scene.
It was great.
When she gets out of the car and he says, "We're going to have the quote-unquote dad talk,"
he
pulls out a pistol.
A gun.
Yeah.
And he said, they pull these quotes into one of the trailers. "I'll kill you and everybody you love and everybody you care." Like, that was classic, like Jerry said, intense Keaton.
God, I like that scene too, though, because again, we have this kind of rounded character where it's like he's not like some crazy super evil guy.
Come full circle.
He's like, "I know you're Spider-Man and you've been trying to thwart me, but whatever, we're fine. You let it go.
Yep.
No problems." You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to kill Spider-Man off the bat. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to harm Peter Parker necessarily. He's like, "Hey, just stop it. You know what I mean? I'm doing something. You're getting in the way. Knock it off."
And I love how Tony takes the suit, the high-tech suit, away from him. And Peter's got to prove it on his own that he is the hero, not the suit.
Yeah.
He gets into that classic outfit that we've seen on the YouTube videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
And when he goes in there, gets his ass kicked by the Vulture, and he having to lift himself out of that rubble because Vulture destroys the complex that they're in, and he's stuck. And it's like, man, this is a kid here stuck. Like,
he's like crying for help.
Yeah, it's like this is how this would really be.
Yeah,
that was realistic. A scary. That was a claustrophobic tense.
Yeah.
But you know what I was worried was going to happen?
What?
I was like,
Tony
Iron
Stark
Man shows up and pulls this off of him. This is going down in my rating, but it didn't.
Yeah,
he did it. I love that.
We got that classic imagery of the half Spider-Man, half Peter Parker face.
That should have been the Mondo poster for this.
That would have been really cool.
That was a really cool.
But maybe best single shot of the whole freaking movie.
Before we get off Vulture, we can get back to this scene, and back to that costume because I want to talk about it. But Vulture, to me, also in this version of Vulture, he had a little bit, to me, of a Green Goblin feel to him as well. Because because of the way his wings worked and they were kind of separate, they felt like a glide, like how Green Goblin would use a glider sometimes, and the fact that he's the father of this person that Peter Parker, it's normally Harry Osborn, but here it's, he still has this relationship
It
with.
beckoned you back to that Thanksgiving scene.
Yeah.
When William Dafoe's figuring it out because of the blood on Peter's hand.
Yeah.
God, that was a good scene, too. And that was a lot like this. Dafoe, another intense actor, and there's not many as intense as Dafoe, but Keaton is there.
Yeah. Now, Vulture, I keep forgetting the character's name.
Adrian Toomes.
So Adrian is obviously very different from Norman Osborn. You know what I mean? As a character in that sense.
And this take on Vulture is different because he's like an old man who sucks the youth from people. In the 616 version of the comic.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie
Grounded,
version. Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah.
But not literally.
Yeah.
That final set piece, there's a lot of Happy Hogan in this movie. He's kind of been asked by Tony to watch over Peter Parker.
And I like that because he kind of acts as a surrogate for Tony Stark without having too much Robert Downey Jr. in it, stealing the scenes.
Big character and just so charismatic that would have stolen the show. From
and everybody likes
Parker.
Happy Hogan too. I think.
Yeah, everybody loves Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
And that scene...
Stop calling me every time you eat a churro or whatever.
So basically, they're shutting down Avengers Tower for good. They're moving a lot of stuff out. So the big heist is Vulture trying to set his family up for the rest of their life. And it follows when he pulls himself out of that debris.
Yeah.
When he goes up on the plane after what a great final scene, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I like that this movie has Avengers kind of washed all over it, but it doesn't feel too much. It's just like, oh, this is a world where the Avengers exist.
Not oversaturated.
Right. It's like he's really into the Avengers, and there's this Avengers tech that's getting stolen. We understand, a Hulkbuster. We don't want a villain to get a Hulkbuster. You know what I mean? So
kind of like any superhero movie now, I mean, is standing in the shadow of the Avengers. Any new upstart superhero movie that comes out, you're standing in the shadow of the Avengers. And so, I mean, I guess sort of, you have Spider-Man who is standing in the shadow of the Avengers and having to forge his own identity and his own path.
Mm-hmm.
So they land right outside of an amusement park.
Coney Island, right?
It is. I think it's Coney Island. I'm not 100% on it.
It seems like it was.
I would assume so based on my New York knowledge, but
by the end of this movie,
yeah,
I really felt that he was becoming the Spider-Man that I'm more familiar with. And I'll tell you what really indicated that to me, and his character growth as well, is he recognizes that suit's about to blow, or the wings of Vulture's going to explode, right?
Yeah, I love this.
And he's like, he can't hear him because it's like the ringing in of his ears from the plane crashing and all that.
And all the sound of the wings and stuff.
So great.
Yeah.
Great scene here. And he's like, you're going to die. That's going to explode. And he's trying to pull up this.
He's trying to save the Vulture. He's trying
it
to save it.
explodes anyway, right? But it doesn't kill
It's not
him.
a huge explosion. Yeah, it doesn't kill him.
But that shows his empathy. Like that's Peter Parker. So many tragedies happen to him, but that's the last thing he wants. I thought for sure they would kill Keaton.
And the suit kept asking, like when he had the AI in the suit, he called Karen, and Karen kept asking, like, "Do you want to go into one-hit kill mode?" And he's like, "No, we don't want to kill anybody," over and over.
Yeah, and also, I mean,
that's just
show and all throughout this film, we got that he. Again, we've already moved past the original meaning of great power, great responsibility. He has to leave Liz again at the homecoming dance to go do this thing, even though he clearly would rather do that.
What'd y'all think about the reveal at the end where Michelle was Mary Jane? I was surprised.
I knew she was going to be somebody because they hadn't named her, and she kept popping up. I was expecting her name to be Gwen because she kind of reminded me in some ways of Ultimate Gwen, and I was waiting for her name to be Gwen. But turned out to be MJ, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Did it surprise you, Jerry?
I mean, not much. I thought they had announced that she was going to be Mary Jane, and then they said, I thought that a lot of the criticism, or not criticism, but a lot of the comments was like, no, she's not going to be Mary Jane. She's going to be somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I actually didn't. I mean, I didn't recognize who Zendaya was. I know the name. I didn't know who she was. I thought she was Liz, to be honest.
Me too.
I didn't know who she was.
Yeah, I didn't know who Zendaya was either.
She kind of gives him that look at the end like she's starting to fall for him
a
little bit, too. So I think this is going to be fun to see their love dynamic play out on the screen. And they basically want to set these up like Harry Potter movies. Like each Spider-Man movie.
Oh, it was a new
It's
year.
a different year of so he's a sophomore, so you're gonna have a trilogy of high school.
I can't wait for if they make it this far. I'd love to see this Tom Holland college Spider-Man.
Can you imagine if they do like say 7 movies? You get like 3 high school, 2 college, and then like or 1 adult or 2 adult.
I'd
one.
love
I mean,
yeah,
that will be something. That'd be like the whole Harry Potter scene. Seeing a great kid actor, which I know Tom Holland's like 20. But to see him yeah, he's 20, grow up before your eyes.
He definitely looks much younger than 20. Usually you're like, okay, there's no way I believe that this kid is in high school when you're watching a movie. I totally believe that Tom Holland is in high school.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the score? It's Michael Giacchino.
We haven't scored it yet.
No, the film score, the music, the composition.
I liked at the beginning that they used the classic Spider-Man theme in the opening credits. Throughout the movie, I'm not sure that I noticed it in a big way. I did notice the sound. I thought the soundtrack was good.
It wasn't noticeably bad, but it's not memorable either.
There weren't
Danny
any musical
Elfman
cues that stood out to me. I did like the mixture of a score, though, and then using different songs and stuff, having a soundtrack as well.
Whereas those Raimi films, you recognize that.
Right.
I mean,
that was very
like,
recognizable.
Yeah, I mean, it's Elfman.
Which, Danny Elfman just got picked
for Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Danny Elfman did this. The score was terrible in the first Amazing Spider-Man, so they replaced the guy. I forgot who it was, and they brought in Elfman to score Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was not his best work, but it was still decent. What about the stingers, post-credit stingers? So the first one is
Adrian Toomes, Vulture, and Scorpion.
Yeah, I mean, so they're just setting that up. These weren't the most memorable.
So we're gonna
stingers.
call that the Scorpion Stinger.
Yeah. Yes.
Zing.
The Scorpion Stinger. That's right. I mean, nothing to this really. I mean, I actually like the last stinger the best, I think. Jerry, set that up.
Well, to set up the last stinger, one of the really funny things is that they keep showing these Captain America videos.
PSAs, yeah.
Yeah, like a Captain America PSA. Initially, the kids are in gym class, and there's a Captain America PSA for they have the Presidential Fitness Challenge. This was Captain America's Fitness Challenge.
Stole that guy's shield.
And he's definitely this is definitely not the Avengers. This is not the movie quality Captain America suit that Cap is wearing.
Yeah, it's definitely his propaganda suit.
Yeah, his propaganda suit. But as the gym teacher is showing it, he's like talking about Captain America, and he's like, but he's probably, I think he's a war criminal now.
Pretty sure he's a war criminal
now. He shows up in a detention video, too.
Yeah, he's like, so,
you're in
detention. You're wondering what those turkeys think of you or something.
I love how, even though this film's set now, they rolled a TV on a cart out in gym class to show it on what presumably was probably a VHS player. I thought that was great.
But the last stinger is literally another Captain America video talking about the importance of patience.
And it doesn't always pay off.
Yeah, even when patience doesn't pay off, as in you've sat through all the credits and
for this stinger.
Yeah, and that's what you get.
It's very meta.
What'd y'all think about the Stan Lee cameo here?
That was cool. It wasn't the most memorable Stan Lee cameo, but
he's gonna come down and
because
that's when Spider-Man
he set off the car alarm.
He goes after the guy's trying to get into his own car.
Supposedly, allegedly.
Because everybody's popping out there and being like, "What are you doing?
Turn off that alarm! I gotta
Stan
be
Lee tells him he's gonna come down and take you out, you little punk, or something.
So
this is following I think the best Stan Lee cameo ever in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the Watchers.
That one was really good.
I mean, that one was
really good and made so much. Yeah.
And one thing I want to talk about before we get off of here is New York City, or Queens, not New York City, more the borough of Queens here. They really set this up early on, him going to a sandwich shop, right? And he knows this guy. And there's some jokes that's made and whatnot about the attractiveness of Aunt May, but...
and the owner's daughter.
Yeah,
the owner's daughter.
That's a great bit.
Yeah.
The bank that's getting robbed by the fake Avengers, there's an incident there with alien tech, and it ends up destroying that guy's
restaurant
sandwich shop. Yeah. And it's like, you really feel kind of New York, specifically Queens, like it should be, is its own character in this movie.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that a lot. I thought they did well on that.
Here's a crazy thing. what if Uncle Ben hasn't died in this universe yet? What
I
if
didn't think about
what
that.
if the difficulty that Aunt May is going through is like a separation?
That's true.
Or something different, and
can't accept
Uncle
that.
Ben has not died yet.
I hate it, and I want to
don't like
die.
that
I'm
either,
just
but-
throwing that out there.
And then like Green Goblin kills Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben is Green Goblin.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Uncle Ben is Green Goblin
So,
as the Hobgoblin.
before
I was really afraid. There was that scene early where he's in the bodega and he's getting the sandwich and there's like the cat and stuff. And I was afraid I'm like, oh, something gonna happen to this store. I was really afraid something was gonna happen to that cat, but the cat survived.
Yeah,
that's what I whispered to Abby. As long as they don't kill the cat, you'll be
He rescued
fine.
the guy and the cat. It was all right. But I started thinking about that without them mentioning. I mean, they haven't gone out of the way to not mention Uncle Ben. But what if in this universe Uncle Ben has not died yet?
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I don't like it
because
Uncle Ben's dead.
That's the motivation for him becoming Spider-Man. Just like that would be like saying, what if Batman becomes Batman even though the parents never got killed?
Spider-Man doesn't do it. See, this is where I have a little bit of a knowledge of some of Spider-Man. So Spider-Man doesn't do anything before Uncle Ben.
He's a pro wrestler.
He's used
I knew he wrestled. Yeah.
Typically he gets these powers and he uses them selfishly to make money, to impress people, to whatever. And then it's Uncle Ben. You know, typically he has his opportunity to stop a guy, either whether wrestling or somewhere, who winds up killing Uncle Ben. And he's like, "Oh wow, like I had." It wasn't even his superpower. He could have been normal, and he had the opportunity to help somebody, and he didn't.
Okay.
And with great power comes great responsiponsibility. So to me, that's very important. To his character. But again, it'd be like if we watched, a new Batman film and they didn't do the origins of him because we already know, and then in the sequel you find out his parents are dead and you're like, wait, what? You know what I mean?
Be Batman.
As far as I'm concerned, if they're going to reveal that in a sequel, Uncle Ben's still alive, then they have to explain why he's Spider-Man, basically, to me.
Which opens up another story writing problem.
I mean, I guess if they did it and it's cool, fine. I'm fine with new things happening, but I wouldn't. It hurts me inside to think of this possibility.
All right, before we rate this movie, the sequel's coming out, I think, July 5th, 2019.
2019. Tell me how it is.
Already knowing the day you see the movie.
Yeah. So Andrew Stokes, what do you want to... We're obviously got the 2 Infinity movies he's going to be in. A major part in is what Feige said. What do you want in a Homecoming sequel? Like, is there a villain in particular? I have one in mind.
A villain in particular?
I want Mysterio. I really want to see Mysterio. He's one of the core ones we haven't seen yet, much like Vulture was. I think to have a movie prop villain in a movie, that'd be really cool. Yeah. And I always wanted to see... Ash from Evil Dead,
Bruce Campbell.
That was always
to go
the
with
rumor.
the whole storyline that the reason he was in each movie with interacting with Peter Parker, his Mysterio secretly watching him.
Now I don't want to see Bruce Campbell now, but I mean I wanted to see that then. But Mysterio's one I like to see.
Do you think if Mysterio's the villain in Homecoming 2, he is going to be a movie prop guy?
Maybe, maybe not. Who knows?
I feel like they do something else with it.
I trust with how they handle Vulture. I'll put trust in them to do it well. Like I could see maybe in a first act or something, Scorpion being there, right, and then maybe a Mysterio. I mean, I'm just saying. I like a lot of people want Kraven. I really want Kraven at some point, but I don't know if I want him yet. Mm-hmm. You said Kingpin.
It'd be interesting to see, what's his face,
Vincent D'Onofrio,
as Kingpin show up in some way.
We thought he might show. We thought
in that jail scene, because it looks very much that's the same jail that Kingpin's in and Punisher was in.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the day that some of those the TV and movie characters like that.
And that makes sense, especially if you're a fan of the '90s show, right?
Yeah, Kingpin was a big villain on there.
Punisher. He's a big Spider-Man villain in period. I mean, he's big in the Ultimate Comics. Yeah, he's really big in the Ultimate Peter Parker storyline.
Oh yeah, Jerry, who would you like to see?
I was thinking about it. Mysterio is definitely one that I've wanted to see for a while. Again, I really want to see a good Rhino. I've always liked Rhino. I would love to see Rhino.
I was thinking Rhino and Scorpion both in this sequel would be
if
interesting.
they build up like a team or something, would be really cool. Again, kind of moving toward like a Sinister Six or something.
Yeah, maybe a precursor to that.
Yeah,
precursor exactly.
Moving towards it, but they've already sort of done that with Scorpion talking to Vulture and saying, somebody's told me, and I have some friends that are interested in meeting up with this
They've
guy.
alluded to it or hinted.
Yeah,
teased,
they've already
if
hinted
you will.
that in a different way than the.
But here's the thing: there's this rumored Mysterio Craven movie, and then there's the Venom.
But again,
movie
that's not supposed to be
and
tied in, though.
I know, but I wonder if that will prevent Disney from using those characters.
I want Hydro Man. Is that what his name was?
Yeah.
Oh, the water guy.
Remember the Spot?
The Spot,
yeah.
the white with the black spots.
Yeah.
So
that was interesting.
Is there before we rate it? Is there anything else you guys want to say about Spider-Man: Homecoming?
Oh, we had one thing I meant to mention. I don't feel like we get enough scenes with Peter Parker and Aunt May in this. Like, there are some scenes.
There was more Iron Man than there was Aunt May.
Oh, well, what about Pepper? We didn't talk about that either.
That's kind of a small thing, but yeah.
Pepper
it's cool. I loved it. She's back. She's with Tony again. Because in Civil War, they had split up.
That whole test at the end is cool. Let's talk about that before we get out of here.
All right.
He basically takes him to the Avengers headquarters, the new one now, and offers him what looks kind of like the Iron Spider suit, the most high-tech Spider-Man suit you're ever going to see. And when Peter turned it down, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that this turned out to be a legitimate offer. It's like, you think this young kid's ready to join the Avengers for real, come there and live in the Avengers headquarters?
I think so. Not to live there, no, but I think to be an Avengers member, he's proven his worth twice now.
But he's still, 15 years old?
Yeah.
That's a little young.
And even when Spider-Man never joined the Avengers until like 2003, and he was an adult. Peter Parker then, so I get your point.
Even like an 18-year-old, okay, cool, an 18-year-old Peter Parker. I think it was just too. It was always kind of weird that Iron Man gets this young kid from Queens and brings him to Germany or wherever to fight in Civil War, but it's like whatever. But he's ready to let him join the Avengers officially. It's like, I don't know, but I guess they kind of have like a in-training Avengers squad, I guess.
I mean, he's got powers that nobody else does. So.
Yeah. But like I said, but going back to the Aunt May thing, I would have liked them to develop that a little bit more.
Yeah, because like the scene where him and Aunt May go out for Thai food, or some of the scenes, like they seem to have a lot of great interaction.
There's that, and then there's the one where she was worried about him at the end.
Yeah,
and she finds out he's Spider-Man at the end of the film.
Very end, yeah.
So it's like,
I really wish they would have had more scenes with them.
I think it's too soon for her to find out he's Spider-Man.
I'm fine with it, honestly. That's one of the things with the Ultimate Spider-Man is people just it seems like people are finding out left and right. MJ knows he's Spider-Man for a long time, like very early on. And that's kind of like one of the running things is as he meets all these other superheroes, they immediately find out his secret identity. And S.H.I.E.L.D. already knows his secret identity and stuff. So his identity isn't as secret as classic Spider-Man is. But I'm okay with it. I'm interested. Hopefully they'll give us more interaction in Homecoming 2 between Aunt May and Peter Parker.
Okay, guys, let's rate this and then rank it. Or would you want to rank then rate?
Let's rank then rate.
Rank then rate? Okay.
Sure.
So we're going to go best to worst or worst to best?
Let's go worst to best.
Okay. You want to go first, Jerry?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think for me, worst is Amazing Spider-Man, the original, the one with the lizard.
Yeah.
I just did not enjoy that movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
Second for me is Amazing Spider-Man 2. Again, it was okay. But third for me is the Spider-Man 3. I know the movie has a lot of flaws to it, but overall, I think it's still decent. I think it's still enjoyable to watch. It just is jam-packed. Next, I would put Spider-Man, the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And then I'm going to have a really hard time here, but I think I would put Homecoming and then Spider-Man 2.
So Spider-Man 2 number 1.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2 is my number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just go around the room here. With me, it's going to be somewhat similar. The Amazing Spider-Man is the worst one, for sure. Then I would say Spider-Man 3. Then I would say Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then I'll go the first Raimi Spider-Man, then Spider-Man Homecoming, then Spider-Man 2. Still one of my all-time.
So we just swapped Amazing 2 and Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 2 is still one of my... It's my third or fourth favorite movie of all time, still. What about you, Andrew?
I think mine's exactly the same as yours.
Okay.
Like Amazing Spider-Man 1 is just boring. You know what I mean? Say what you will about Spider-Man 3, at least it's entertaining at times, even if it's in like, what is happening right now? But there's entertainment, and it's the...
Well, Gwen's so good in that movie, and I think at least they got that right for the most part.
Plus, there's the third one, so even if the crazy stuff is happening, it's characters we know that's doing crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so a number Amazing Spider-Man 1 was just kind of boring and a mess. But I'd put Amazing Spider-Man 2 above 3.
Yeah.
I think I just liked it more. But again, I honestly don't think I've seen a Spider-Man 3 since theaters though.
Oh wow!
So it's like it's kind of hard for me to judge these two.
I like the dance,
the twist, and then the first Raimi Spider-Man, Homecoming, and then Spider-Man 2. I still like that better than I enjoyed Homecoming.
All right, so let's let Jerry rate this one first. Then I'll go. Then Andrew. So Jerry, what would you rate this? Would it be a crap, good, great, epic,
or a half crap
if you want to? There,
I would probably give this a great. Rating. I would say it's on the upper half of my favorite Marvel movies. Probably on the upper half. I definitely enjoyed it more than any of the Thor films thus far. I'm trying to think of other movies that I probably would have.
Did you like it better than Iron Man 2? I'm just.
I liked it better than Iron Man 3.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Again, it's definitely it's probably more in the middle for me.
You didn't want Happy Hogan to reveal he's the real Vulture halfway through.
What?
It's like in Stupid Iron Man with the Mandarin. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the joke. Yeah. I enjoyed it, so I would give it a great. I really liked it. I didn't like it as well as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I didn't like it this year as well as I liked Wonder Woman. And the only real criticism of this movie that I had though was sometimes the pacing. I thought overall it was really good. I definitely feel that a little bit sharper editing could have been helpful to give this movie a quicker pace.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a part in the movie where I was starting to feel the strain a little bit of the film, and
it's 2 hours and 13 minutes.
And they hit you with that twist though, and that kind of like, okay,
then you got me back in the last few minutes is a blast.
Because it started to feel like, okay, we know where this film is going from this point out, and they do that, and it leads to one of the greatest scenes in the movie. So
yeah, I'll say that I'll confirm it a great and a half. It's just shy of epic for me. You got to be willing to again say, okay, this isn't going to be every classic core story element from Spider-Man 616 comics. This is the MCU take on Spider-Man. I don't know, some of the stuff with the suit, whatnot, when I'm talking about the high-tech suit, I really didn't enjoy. That kind of took me out of it a little bit. But, I mean, there's great action, set pieces, the whole high school dynamic without being overkill with the drama like a CW show or something would have been.
Yeah.
I think this is the most balanced Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I think Tom Holland gave us that in Civil War. I think he gives it that here. He's not my favorite Spider-Man. I mean, it's always probably going to be Tobey Maguire. It's always going to be my Spider-Man. And so, I mean, you're asking it to beat one of my favorite movies of all time in Spider-Man 2, and I kind of knew it wouldn't do that. I liked Wonder Woman better.
Yeah, it's Last Night.
That's way better than Last Night.
That's about only 1 point difference.
I'm glad I got the Mondo. I'm glad I got the Mondo poster. I'll confirm it a great and a half.
The Mondo poster, The Last Night.
No, I wish they had made that.
You're confirming the poster a great and a half?
I'll say they're both a great and a half. The poster and the movie. I really enjoyed it. I wanted it to see. Now here was the problem. I expected it to be epic when I saw. Oh my God, 94% on RT. A Disney MCU Spider-Man movie. First of all, I never dreamed I would get this.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got it, but great and a half. What about you, Andrew Stokes?
I think I'm probably gonna give it a great. it
I'm
was,
the highest on this movie,
which is very surprising because I felt
in the
like
theater.
yeah. I don't remember what I gave Guardians Volume 2. I think I gave it a grade and a half.
I gave it an epic.
I think I gave Guardians 2 an epic as well.
Okay. But I liked Guardians Volume 2 better. I think to me this is right there with Wonder Woman for me. I'm a bigger fan of Spidey, so I think I got there was some fanboyism there, and I think that's why I enjoyed it a little bit more than I enjoyed Wonder Woman. But they're kind of, to me, they're both kind of like right there.
For one of the things for me is Wonder Woman just felt like it had a pace, that it moved.
The structures.
Wonder
the
Woman to
3-act
me was a movie
was
that just
so
felt
good,
like it
too.
was fast and it didn't let up.
Yeah.
See, I felt it was a little bit long, Wonder Woman. I felt it a little bit, but.
All right, well, I think that's just about going to wrap up the 67th edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming. Jerry Reed, where can people find more of you?
I keep serving up reviews hot and fresh daily at actionfigurebarbecue.com. Of course, I'm also on Facebook. Action Figure Barbecue has a Facebook page as well, and I apparently have a Twitter feed too.
Barbecue 17 lives.
Barbecue 17 lives, although I will be honest, I don't know how much I'll use it.
I will tag you in things.
You can tag me in things.
What about you, Andrew Stokes?
You can follow me on Twitter at AKA Andrew Stokes. You can catch very few articles from me on...
I want Andrew to write the Spider-Man Homecoming review since I'm going out of town.
Write the review?
I don't like writing reviews.
Would you write it, Jerry?
No.
You won't?
No.
Why?
Because I got other stuff to write.
Okay. All right. I would definitely write it if I
hate
wasn't
writing.
going out
Spend some
town.
of that sweet T-shirt money and buy me a Spider-Man figure, and I'll review that for you.
Okay. All right.
But you can find very few articles on theepicreview.com. That's epicreview.com. And you can also find some art I've been doing in a Where's Waldo style, where I insert Brad Bell into pictures and you have to find him. You can find that at will the real REEL Brad Bell please stand up.com.
All right. So
that's not a real website.
That's not real.
That's not real.
That's for me.
REEL or REAL.
The Epic Review, thepicreview.com, Geeks Worldwide, dgww.com. Go buy a shirt, tpublic.com/user/TheRealBradBell. Follow me on Twitter at TheRealBradBell, REEL Brad Bell. Also, I'm going to the beach next week, but we still have content. I'm going to release this probably later tonight. Before I go to the beach, I'm going to release a very special bonus episode in which Abby and I discussed/reviewed her all-time favorite film, Jaws.
Spider-Man 3.
And then episode
Jaws
60,
3D.
Episode 68 of the pod will be dropping on Thursday.
Where we review what, Brad?
Transformers 5.
An emotional masterpiece, according to the real Brad Bell.
Once again, from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
That's all I have to say about that.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks, assemble!
Roll out!